Chapter 554. Seeing that there was no way to escape, Zhou Xian simply threw down his backpack and took out a pitch-black military knife from his waist. Want to kill me? It's not that easy. No, it's very easy, Wenwen muttered softly. Her entire body had already shot forward with the knife. In the next instant the knife slashed across like a crescent cutting through the night sky. It carried a cold killing intent and was unstoppable. Zhou Xian, who was holding the military knife in a defensive position, trembled slightly after a moment of absent-mindedness. He struggled to turn his head to look behind him. So fast. Before he finished speaking, the military knife in his hand suddenly broke. Red blood spurted out from his chest. He was actually cut into two along with the military knife. Qin Guang, who was running over, also saw this and his eyelids twitched. Oh my god. Wenwen turned around and looked at Qin Guang. She held the knife in one hand and stood on the ground. Didn't I tell you to hide behind the rock and not come out? Qin Guang snorted unhappily. Don't mess around. If it wasn't for me you would be dead. Wenwen nodded and took a deep breath. Thank you. What are you thanking me for? It's better to give me a hug than to thank you 10,000 times. Qin Guang adjusted the backpack on his back and approached Wenwen with a smirk. Wenwen rolled her eyes at him. She wiped off a drop of blood on her face. She turned around and stabbed the back of the two killers who were struggling on the ground after being hit by Qin Guang's darts. Her knife pierced through their bodies like tofu. After a short struggle they slowly stopped moving. You still dare to hug me like this? Sheathing the knife, Wenwen turned around and looked at Qin Guang. Her eyes seemed to be a little nervous and a little expectant. If it was a normal person seeing a goddess-like girl kill two people so easily, not to mention getting close to her, it would be hard for them to even stand still. But who was Qin Guang? The number of people that the old man had killed in the Sea of Time was equivalent to a reinforced company. In real life he had killed no less than 10 people with his own hands. Although Wenwen had shocked him today, he did not have any psychological barriers. He shrugged and walked forward step by step. What's wrong with that? Damn it, it was always going to happen. If you don't kill them they'll kill you. Didn't I just kill 2 people? Don't you think I'm an executioner? Wenwen then pointed at the foot of the mountain, which was a stretch of dark red that had been dragged for more than 500 meters. She saw that the trees were all crooked and slanted. Hundreds of corpses and these chopped trees formed a demonic picture of the intersection of red and green. Qin Guang shook his head. He was still approaching. I'm not sure what happened to you, but I'm on your side. You see, if you want to kill someone I'll help you strike first. Looking at Qin Guang getting closer and closer, Wenwen covered her mouth and laughed. Just like when I need to land the killing blow in a game and you help me? That's the theory. It's good to know you. Wenwen wiped the blood on the knife with her shirt sleeve and walked toward Qin Guang with a smile. Although she was still very uncomfortable and really not used to the way she interacted and chatted with Qin Guang, she could not deny that she was happy deep down. Just as the two of them were about 10 meters away from each other, Wenwen suddenly felt a violent heat flow from her abdomen. It was so abrupt and strange. There was no struggle, but it came menacingly. She shyly moaned and held her stomach. Her right hand used the knife to support herself on the ground to prevent herself from falling. She stood crookedly with one leg at a time. Her whole body was extremely weak. Her stomach seemed to be overturned. The inner force that had been divided into 7 and turned into a 7-star layout rampaging in her stomach like 7 naughty kittens. But this collision wasn't fatal. It couldn't even be considered an injury. It was just that the naughty inner force was slightly out of control. Every collision made her stomach sore and itchy, but it also brought an indescribable sense of joy. She couldn't understand it. Her face turned red and her legs couldn't stop shaking. Seeing this, Qin Guang didn't understand and quickly chased after her. As Qin Guang continued to get closer, the strange movement in Wenwen's stomach became more and more violent. What is going on? The blade in my hand was still dripping with the blood of others, and my nose was filled with the stench of blood. As far as the eye could see, it was filled with the hundreds of lives that had just died by my hands. But what was going on in my head? The tingling and itchy feeling in her stomach became more and more intense, crazily devouring her reason. Her mind even started to hallucinate. Everything that happened after she knocked out Qin Guang last night uncontrollably appeared in her mind again. That wasn't the end. She even started to let her thoughts wander. In the kitchen, in the internet cafe, in the living room, and even in the school field, Along with the strange movement in her abdomen, this strange thought came so fiercely that Wen panicked, but there was nothing she could do. The willpower of a dignified great scholar realm expert in matters between men and women actually collapsed in an instant, because the root cause was her own inner strength causing mischief. The enemy came from within. The trembling of her legs became more and more intense. She even faintly felt that she was about to lose control of that most awkward part of her body. There was a feeling of wetness coming from between her legs. Finally, before the last trace of clarity in her mind disappeared, she found the problem. Must be because of Qin Guang. Are you a walking aphrodisiac? She gathered the last of her strength and shouted, "Don't come over." Then she suddenly turned around and staggered into the distance. Although her steps were unsteady, her speed was extremely fast. In an instant, the distance between the two of them was pulled back to 20 meters. Qin Guang, who was about to hug her with his arms wide open, was completely confused. What's going on? Qin Guang scratched his head. Wen took a few deep breaths and felt the strange movement in her stomach gradually calm down. Panting heavily, she leaned on the long knife with one hand and forced herself to approach him with the other. The situation isn't right. In any case, don't come over for now. Looking at Qin Guang, who was dumbfounded, she felt embarrassed and anxious in her heart. She felt as if she was bewitched. I have to go first. Wen, who was puzzled, decided to run first. How could Qin Guang let her go so easily? He ran in her direction and said, "Don't even think about it." Just a moment ago, Wen was still overflowing with a domineering aura and killing without blinking an eye. But now her beautiful face changed and like a frightened rabbit she turned around and fled. Enough. Don't chase me. I can't explain it to you. Anyway, the situation is not right now. What's wrong? Let's sit down and have a good talk. The more we talk, the more we talk. I won't mess around, don't worry. Don't you know me? Qin Guang wanted to fight alongside her no matter what. Even if she really had a powerful enemy, he didn't believe that the old man, the owner of the heavenly Holy Grail, couldn't be of any help at all. Didn't you see that the old man just used a little technique to save your life today? That's a different matter. Wen continued to run. Where did you learn the dual cultivation method? Qin Guang continued to chase. What dual cultivation method? I don't understand what you're saying at all. Really? I can lie to anyone but you. That's true. Then what's going on? You can talk, but can we not run? I can't catch up to you. I want you to be unable to catch up. Wen was on the verge of tears. She had already been embarrassed after pushing down this good friend of hers, and when she thought of how she had failed to torment him and had instead fallen to the ground, she felt quite embarrassed. Now she had discovered this strange and inexplicable phenomenon. As a dignified great scholar realm expert, a tomboy of a generation, Wen felt that she didn't want to live anymore. Stop right there. Qin Guang was furious. He hated that he had Qilin arms and not Qilin legs. He couldn't catch up. He really beat his chest and stamped his feet. How can you do this? You have to take responsibility for sleeping with me. Wen saw that he was about to explode from anger and laughed. They were still at a safe distance, so she stopped. Don't come over. Stand further away. Can I talk to you properly? Why can't I come over? If you don't listen, I'll leave. All right, speak. I'm listening. Qin Guang was honest this time. There was no helping it. Her legs also had inner strength and she ran like a rabbit. He really couldn't catch up. How do you know that I slept with you? Do you have proof? Wen suddenly said coldly. Qin Guang was stunned. He thought about it carefully and really didn't have any F***king proof. He didn't even have any memories. Every time he was in a daze, it was like he was stabbed in the head and he couldn't remember anything. This. He actually couldn't refute. So, nothing happened between us. Wen started to act shamelessly. Can I F***king swear? Qin Guang kept feeling that something was wrong. Looking at his flustered and exasperated look, Wen really felt that he was extremely cute. She playfully blinked her eyes. All right, I won't tease you anymore. Then tell me, to what extent did we actually go? I'm so anxious. The bed had collapsed and the lady boss said that the whole building was shaking. How could nothing have happened? Qin Guang asked Liuli in his heart again. Gee, a peeping Tom should know something, right? But Liuli seemed to be deliberately pretending that she wasn't there and ignored him. Wen rolled her eyes. Anyway, aren't you good at fantasizing? Just imagine it yourself. Whatever you want, it will be. You took the bed sheet. Hand over the bed sheet. Qin Guang suddenly thought of another very important piece of evidence. I won't give it to you. Wenwen smiled faintly. She really felt that it was very magical. Even though she was in such a strange situation, by simply saying a few words to him, the accumulated hostility and frustration in her heart actually gradually dissipated. She still had a very heavy burden on her back, and there were still many internal affairs in the Wen family waiting for her to deal with. She had to avenge her second uncle, and she also had to think of a way to cure her father's poison. However, killing a puppet uncle who thought that he was smart, there had to be another mastermind behind the scenes. These matters should be pressing down on her like 1,000 catties, making it hard for her to breathe. But just by saying a few words to him, even though nothing could be solved, Wenwen felt that she always had endless strength and fighting spirit. Yes, now that I'm already a great master of the Wen realm, who do I have to be afraid of? Thinking of this, her heart was suddenly filled with heroism. She tiptoed and her figure rose from the ground, landing on a treetop. Qin Guang, I understand your feelings, but you really can't help me with the situation I'm facing right now. Although your hidden weapon skills are very good, you're walking with a limp. It's too serious, so I don't want to involve you in this for now. If you really want to help me, it's best if you pretend that you don't know anything and don't see anything. You take care of yourself, that's the best you can do for me. Hearing this, Qin Guang became unhappy and asked, What are you saying? What do you mean I can't help you? He hadn't finished speaking when Wenwen, who was standing on the tree, lightly waved the long knife in her hand. Her body floated down from the air and the 1.5-meter-long knife blade appeared out of thin air. Then Wenwen held the knife with one hand and brandished it at a large stone that was as tall as a person in front of her. In the blink of an eye, she hid the knife behind her back, and the stone directly collapsed to the ground, turning into countless square pieces of gravel. I can use my internal strength to drive the knife and I can easily split mountains and stones. Although you can use hidden weapons now, it's not good enough. Once someone gets close to you, you'll die without a burial place. Qin Guang was silent. She was right, he really had to pester her. To put it nicely, it was called fighting side by side with her, but to put it bluntly, it was called dragging her down. But he felt quite unwilling. Don't worry, when I kill all my enemies with the knife in my hand, I'll return to your side. Let's go back to normal, okay? Don't make it difficult for me. Wenwen really wanted to leave this time and Qin Guang couldn't make her stay. I'm worried about you, I also have some problems to solve. You're talking about your family, right? I suspect that it's related to me, but I can't be sure. But I'll definitely find out the truth and give you an explanation. As Wenwen said this, she jumped from the ground and went into the forest. You've done everything. Then what can I do? Qin Guang roared. Wenwen's voice came from afar. You're my most important boyfriend. To borrow a super mushy phrase, if you're well then the sky is clear, ha. *CK. Qin Guang picked up a stone on the ground and threw it at Wenwen, but she didn't even look back. She stretched out her finger and lightly flicked a bush that she passed, and her internal strength burst forth. An emerald green leaf wrapped with internal strength collided with the stone thrown by Qin Guang, and it was actually Qin Guang's stone that shattered into powder. You can leave, but you can't lose contact with your phone again. I'm afraid of you. Wenwen's voice was getting further and further away and gradually faded away. Damn it, I'll dump you after I'm done playing with you. Qin Guang punched the tree fiercely. He sat down. To be honest, he was quite depressed. He raised his hands and clenched them into fists. He felt that his pair of Qilin arms was more than enough to bully people without internal strength, but in the face of Wenwen's internal strength, he couldn't resist at all. It was really depressing. In fact, Qin Guang didn't know that Wenwen wasn't an ordinary internal strength martial artist. He walked back thinking that since so many people died here, he had to think of a way to deal with the aftermath. Otherwise, if the commoners saw this scene, God knows how big of a commotion it would cause. Just as he returned to the place where the snipers were lying, a gust of wind blew past, lifting up the clothes on Shi Yi's chest that were neatly cut, revealing a tattoo underneath. Qin Guang's sharp eyes saw it and he frowned as he leaned over. He lifted this guy's clothes and saw a Chinese tattoo on his chest, sure. Chapter 555. The Broken World Again? Why are these people still haunting us? Why can't the members of this unlucky assassin organization die? Aren't you guys a little too daring? You even dare to get involved in a battle between inner forces? Seeing the broken world again, he thought of Zhou Xian. He went to find trouble with this organization single-handedly. I don't know whether that kid is dead or alive now. Forget it, I'll pray for him in my heart for a few seconds. I'll give him some of the blessings of the old man, the owner of the heavenly Holy Grail, to ensure his safe return. Yes, that's right. Returning alone to the place where Wen and those people fought, Qin Guang looked at the mess in his mind and tried to figure out what kind of fight had happened. Frankly speaking, he was quite scared. The bodies on the ground were too ugly to look at. Not a single one of them was intact. If it weren't for the fact that he was a person who would help his relatives and not reason, Qin Guang would think that Wen was the devil. He pondered for a while and decided to call Qian Ming from the Shun special training camp. He didn't know any other military personnel in Yanjing. It was better to leave this kind of special situation to the professionals. Hello, Qian Ming. I'm in the mountains outside Feng Town in the western suburbs. It's the direction of the internal force expert I asked you to find. Qian Ming glanced at Tan Zhaohua, who was listening attentively, and asked carefully, Instructor Chen, what's the situation? Probably more than 100 people died. What? Tan Zhaohua, who was eavesdropping, couldn't help but scream. Is there a special department that specializes in dealing with this kind of situation? Qin Guang asked casually. Tan Zhaohua had already grabbed the phone. Hello little Qin, I'm Tan Zhaohua. There is such a department, but it's not under the jurisdiction of the military. Don't worry, I'll contact them to deal with it. Qin Guang grunted. What's there to worry about? It's just that this mess is too scary. I'm afraid of scaring the people. As he spoke, he thought to himself, in a sense, a year ago I was also the kind of person who would be easily frightened, right? Wen ran quickly. She planned to go straight back to the Wen family. Now that her father was poisoned, her second uncle was killed, and her third uncle was killed by her, the Wen family must be in chaos. The sooner she returned, the sooner she could settle the Wen family. Although it was a pity that she couldn't get more information out of third uncle Wen Jingyun's mouth, there was nothing she could do. Fortunately, he was now a great scholar. As long as he had absolute strength, he wouldn't be afraid of those demons and monsters. She gripped the saber in her hand tightly, and her aura became even stronger. He accidentally took a step too big and the bedsheet wrapped around his waist was lifted. A gust of wind blew past and he felt a chill in the crotch between his legs. Wenwen's imposing manner immediately dissipated. She blushed and secretly scolded herself for being disappointing. How much of a flood did she make just now? She tried to circulate her inner strength again, but she didn't find anything unusual. Forget it, this matter was obviously an unsolved mystery. This was probably the side effect of her accidentally breaking through to the great scholar realm. At this moment, no one knew that in Qin Guang's world in the cup, the great Lord Liuli was helplessly looking at the cloud platform with a frown. Just now he asked me what happened, Lu Ming. Liuli looked at the Lu Ming flower on the ground from afar and seemed to be talking to himself. Lu Ming, on the other hand, didn't mind twisting the branch lightly. Just tell him the truth. Liuli blushed. I didn't want to, so I ignored him. But sooner or later he'll find out. Sooner or later he'll find out how incompetent you are. Lu Ming ridiculed with a venomous tongue. Liuli sighed again. How can you blame me for being incompetent? It's all the fault of the heavenly Holy Grail. I understand the reason, but why is the statue gone? You have to give an explanation. Lu Ming continued to poke Liuli. Lord Liuli finally broke down. He jumped up and stamped his feet. Since he had nothing to lose, he said, why do I care so much about him? If it's gone, then it's gone. Just as we discussed before, if he comes in and asks, I'll beat him up. Lu Ming nodded. Yes, beat him up. Beat him up until he doesn't dare to ask. Qin Guang ran to the hillside and found a clean rock to sit on. He looked down from afar. He was kind. Although this place was deserted, he didn't rule out the possibility of someone accidentally appearing here. Before the special function department mentioned by Tan Zhaohua arrived, he planned to keep an eye on this place and drive away anyone who approached. Previously, he was worried about Wenwen's safety, so he didn't pay much attention to the tragic scene along the way. Now that he was safe and sound, the more he looked, the more horrified he became. He looked at his watch again and again. Why was it so slow? The efficiency of this special department was a bit low. Faster. Idiot. Drive faster. A modified BMW 5 Series engine was roaring crazily from the north of Yanjing along the mountain road towards Feng Town at lightning speed. A middle-aged man in a tight suit was sitting in the co-driver's seat with an anxious expression on his face. Damn it, don't rush me. This broken road is full of twists and turns. I'm already at 130 kilometers per hour. If the car overturns, we'll just have to wait to get there. The young man in charge of driving was also a hot-tempered person. It's not that I'm rushing you, but fate is rushing us. When Lao Sen is crazy now. If we're late, he'll really kill Wenwen. If Wenwen dies, you should understand how Mr. Ing will deal with us, right? Alright, shut up. I'm speeding up. I'm going all out, okay? If you're so capable, why don't you find someone who can drive faster than me? Alright, I won't say any more. The middle-aged man sighed. His eyebrows were knitted tighter and tighter. The two of them were originally responsible for secretly watching Wen Jingyun. Before today, this chess piece's movements were under their control. However, they didn't expect that today Wen Jingyun would suddenly pull all of his capable subordinates and rush here. The originally stable situation suddenly took a turn for the worse. He was going all out. If Wenwen really died in Wen Jingyun's hands, the two spies who were responsible for reporting the situation would certainly not be able to escape death. Perhaps it would be a kind of happiness if they could simply die. Do you think Wen Lao Sen will listen to us? We're not his opponents at all. You don't need to worry. I have Mr. Ying's keepsake in my hand. He'll understand once he sees the keepsake. He's just an idiot who thinks he's smart. He's not a great hero. I'll give him 100 guts and he won't dare to be Mr. Ying's enemy. With a creak, the car stopped by the side of the road. The two jumped down and went straight into the forest. About half an hour later, Qin Guang, who was playing with his phone out of boredom and stretching his neck to look around from time to time, saw the two people rushing over from a distance on the soft mud. Qin Guang subconsciously wanted to get up, but his mind changed. He suddenly shrunk his shoulders and went into the bushes. The two people's pace was too fast. They were not ordinary people. But looking at them, they didn't seem to be the special department that General Tan said before. After all, such a big mess had to be cleaned up. Just two people couldn't do it. Moreover, although the two people's movements were agile, they didn't have the demeanor of a soldier. Instead, they looked like assassins or killers hiding in the dark. So who would come sneakily after the dust had settled? Was it Wenwen's enemy hiding in the dark? The more Qin Guang thought about it, the more he felt it was possible. He was a little tempted, but he was afraid to take action. Although he didn't want to admit it, Wenwen's move to cut the boulder into countless small cubes did cause too much shock to him. It was better to wait and see. Qin Guang didn't act rashly but quietly hid his figure. The two people were very anxious. The smell of blood in the air even made them seem a little panicked. Something really happened. It's such a strong smell of blood. Do you see the trees in front of us? When Lao Sen brought his group of useless people to fight with Wenwen? It's a bit big. The middle-aged man looked up to the front while running his internal energy to slightly speed up. His face was a little pale. The young man was not much better than him. I always feel that we should turn around and run. It's already like this. Wenwen is dead. Impossible. It's useless even if we run to the ends of the earth. The middle-aged man shook his head. He still had to see it with his own eyes before he was willing to give up. The two finally arrived at the place. Looking at the 500-meter-long road of slaughter, they were speechless. If I'm not wrong, these are all the subordinates that Wen Lao Sen recruited? The young man swallowed his saliva. They're all dead, they're all dead. They died so miserably. Not a single corpse was left intact. I know this person. He's Iron Palm Lu, an expert in skin strength. His palm was cut off at the waist along with his stomach. This person is called He Fitu. He's good at leg kung fu. He's used to tying 2 pieces of steel to his shins. He's also an expert in skin strength. Look at his leg. It was forcibly cut off in the middle and then cut open his stomach. This is all done by Wenwen. Such a long narrow saber can only be her black chop. The middle-aged man walked along the 500-meter-long bloody path while pointing at his surroundings. In terms of individual strength, most of the corpses on the ground were stronger than the two of them, but now they had died such a miserable death. This doesn't make sense. Isn't Wenwen just an expert in skin strength? Why is this happening? The young man was very surprised. You ask me, but who should I ask? Oh my God. When Lao Sen is over there. The middle-aged man pointed in front. The two of them quickly chased after him. They saw Wen Jingyun, who died with his eyes wide open. They sucked in a breath of cold air. Originally, they planned to use Mr. Ying's token to make Wen Jingyun stop and spare Wen's life. They didn't expect to see such a tragic scene. Even Wen Jingyun was pierced through and died. Something happened. This time it's really something big. Wen broke through her muscles, bones and skin. She became the Wen family's Wenzong. Must be like this. The young man's lips trembled. The middle-aged man nodded with a stiff face. Go. Leave this place. We must report to Mr. Ying immediately. The two of them didn't dare to stay any longer. They turned around and ran. On the other side, Qin Guang had already made a big detour and directly blocked the two of them on their way back to the car. He observed for a long time and finally decided to do it himself. Although the two of them had internal strength, no matter if it was their agility or mental acuity, they couldn't be compared to Wen. Both of them were running at full speed, but their speed was even slower than second Uncle Wen's. Qin Guang clenched his fist. He felt that as long as he was careful he might be able to give it a try. Moreover, after a while the special department that Tan Zhaohua mentioned should also arrive. In such a favorable situation, it would be inexcusable not to stop these two people. At most he would just use the tactic of delaying. Further away in the sky, two small black dots appeared. Qin Guang grinned. They actually directly mobilized the helicopter. This special department's power was not small. Chapter 556. Just as the two of them ran along the mountain path in a panic, wanting to leave this place as soon as possible, the middle-aged man's ears twitched and he suddenly shouted, "Get down!" The young man immediately bent down. The two of them cooperated well. Although they were always arguing with each other, he never doubted the middle-aged man's judgment at the critical moment. As soon as the two of them bent down, four darts flew over their heads and disappeared into the forest in the distance. "Who? Come out!" The young man subconsciously stamped his feet and reached behind his back. He took out a foot-long saber and held it in his hand. He looked around with a vigilant expression. The middle-aged man looked at the place where Qin Guang was hiding and pulled the young man to calm him down. "Friend, come out. I know you're there." Qin Guang felt regretful. He didn't expect the two of them to be so vigilant even in such a hurry. Since a sneak attack didn't work, he could only face them head-on. He jumped out from behind the tree and blocked the two of them. "You two, where are you going in such a hurry? Who are you?" The young man was about to raise his knife and move forward. The middle-aged man opened his mouth subconsciously, "Qin," but he immediately shut his mouth and looked back at the approaching helicopter. "I don't care who you are. If you don't want to die, get out of the way." Qin Guang wasn't stupid. "Bro, you seem to know me. Who the hell knows you? Get lost." The middle-aged man said as he took out a boxing glove made of iron chains and put it on his hand. His muscles gradually grew and he looked like he was about to fight. "Are we going to kill him?" The young man muttered softly. The middle-aged man shook his head slowly. There was no need to mention how angry he was. It would be great if they could really kill him, but they couldn't. "You go and drive the car. I'll subdue him." After the middle-aged man said that, he suddenly rushed forward. Qin Guang's pupils shrank. "Damn it, both of them have weapons. I'm at a slight disadvantage. Fortunately, I'm not jealous. It's good that they split up. I'll test the middle-aged man's strength first. If I can beat him, I'll fight. If I can't, I'll run. As long as there's even the slightest chance, I can't let this middle-aged man escape. He definitely knows me. Eat my thunderclap godly fist." Qin Guang waved his right hand and roared as he stepped forward. However, the middle-aged man did not panic and stretched out his hand to catch it. He had already memorized Qin Guang's information by heart. Just now, his sneak attack with the flying dart had revealed that his hidden weapon skills were indeed formidable. Fortunately, he did not have internal energy and could not hide the flying dart in the wind. Thus, the middle-aged man heard the sound of the wind and escaped in time. "But what right do you have to fight me head-on? You don't have any inner strength, so why are you pretending to be fierce to scare people? What thunderclap god fist? What 9-in white bone claw?" But just when Qin Guang's right hand was about to come in contact with his claw, he suddenly pulled his hand back and two muffled sounds rang out from his abdomen. The middle-aged man looked down and saw two half-embedded darts in his stomach. "Damn it! Despicable scum! You plotted against me. It turned out that Qin Guang's seemingly domineering fist was fake. His real killer move was the 2 darts he hid between the fingers of his left hand. His fist was a bluff on the surface, but he was secretly relying on the small range of his left wrist to secretly shoot the darts at the man's stomach from a close distance. When a normal person threw a dart, they had to fully extend their arm to ensure the strength and accuracy. In the past, Qin Guang's performances in videos in the World Championship, his movements were basically standard, but no one knew that his real killer move was to use the shaking of his wrist to throw accurate, fast, and ruthless darts in the process of close combat. The darts in his left hand were like snakes, and Qin Guang clenched his left fist and punched the man's shoulder. Nonsense, I'm already fighting you with my life. Who would care about justice in the martial world? It was also because his right hand had strained the muscle when he threw the dart to save Wenwen, or else Qin Guang would have been waving his fists around and beating this guy up. Again. The middle-aged man thought that Qin Guang was going to use the same trick again, so he simply channeled his inner strength to his shoulder, planning to use his shoulder to take the punch. However, he was also focused on guarding against Qin Guang's right hand, afraid that he would throw another dart. At the same time, his left hand was still protecting his stomach to prevent the 2 darts from continuously drilling in and deepening the injury. He was really quite aggrieved. With his pair of iron fists, how could he be suppressed like this under normal circumstances? However, for some reason he didn't dare to punch. This guy couldn't be killed. Bam! Qin Guang's fist easily hit the middle-aged man's shoulder. The middle-aged man didn't panic at all. He only thought fiercely in his heart, "Your fist is just like tickling me. As long as I defend against your darts, what can you do to me?" Then he was sent flying. That's right, he was sent flying horizontally. Damn it! What kind of strength is this? Until his head hit the tree, the middle-aged man didn't come to his senses at all. He couldn't feel his right shoulder at all. Even the true qi gathered on his shoulder was scattered. The muscles inside were broken inch by inch and the bones were obviously dislocated and cracked. Just one punch had completely crippled half of his strength. The young man who was about to get into the car also saw this and his eyelids twitched. What the hell? Uncle was sent flying more than 10 meters by this man's punch? Then again, Qin Guang wasn't having it easy as well. He furrowed his brows and swung his hand. When his fist came in contact with that person's shoulder, he felt a peculiar energy burrowing into his fist. It was like an earthworm charging through the meridians of his left hand, causing a burning pain in his hand. After swinging his arm fiercely for a long time, this uncomfortable feeling gradually dissipated. Fortunately, it's not a big problem. There were indeed strong and weak inner strength warriors. This middle-aged man looked very cool, and his boxing gloves were very powerful. In fact, his inner strength was far worse than second Uncle Wen's. I can't beat Wenwen or Xen Qin and I can't beat second Uncle Wen, but I can still bully the weak. Of course, he also knew his weakness, so from the beginning to the end he didn't think about using his feet, and he also protected the other parts of his body except his arms. Apart from his hands, his whole body was weak now. Qin Guang walked toward the middle-aged man who had just struggled to stand up with his left hand. Now can you tell me who you are? You must know me. Stop pretending. The middle-aged man covered his right shoulder and stared at Qin Guang fiercely. Don't be aggressive or I'll make you pay. Take my thunderbolt fire. A ruthless expression suddenly flashed across the middle-aged man's face. His left hand suddenly swung out and 3 black beads floated toward Qin Guang. Qin Guang was shocked. Fuck, I used Thunderbolt God Fist and you used Thunderbolt Fire? But I was just bluffing, okay? Your Thunderbolt Flame looks like you're really serious about it. Then why did you shout it out like that? Are you a real man? Qin Guang jumped back and there was a small ditch behind him. As soon as he shrank his neck, his head really exploded. What Thunderbolt Fire? Isn't it just a grenade? The middle-aged man poked his head out of the river with his face covered in dirt, but he had already run far away. It looked like he was about to rush to the roadside. Wanna run? Qin Guang rushed out, grabbed his bag and chased after him. First of all, they were definitely not on his side. Secondly, Qin Guang felt that this guy might have something to do with what happened to his family. Otherwise, how could he know him? Last but not least, he had been bullied by internal force users all day long. It was not easy to meet 2 people who could beat him, so he would not give up. He had not run 2 steps, and before the middle-aged man had time to get into the car, A few Jetta with police lights on rushed out from behind the intersection. The helicopter was also flying closer and closer, and he could almost hear the sound of the propellers. The special department was here and they were all on his side. Since the reinforcements had arrived, Qin Guang was even more courageous. Nameless thief. Why don't you surrender obediently? As he yelled, he carried his backpack on his back and Qin Guang continued to chase. Go, go, go. The middle-aged man got into the car and urged the young man to drive faster. The BMW started and rushed forward, along the mountain road in the other direction where the police car appeared. Did he just drive away like that? Qin Guang ran to the side of the road and watched the BMW turn a corner and disappear into the depths of the dense forest. He had no other choice but to jump. At that moment the Jetta stopped next to him. Without thinking, Qin Guang took out his ID from his trouser pocket and showed it to the driver. Now, your car has been requisitioned by the chief instructor of Shun's special training area, Qin Guang. Hurry, get out. The policeman who was sitting in the driver's seat was a little upset. These words sounded a little familiar, but shouldn't he be the one saying it to others? I'm driving a police car and I'm here to perform a mission. You want to requisition my car? Dude, are you assaulting a police officer? Hurry. Qin Guang could not wait that long. He opened the door and pulled him out, stuffed his ID into his hand and sat down. He turned to the passenger seat and the people in the back seat and continued to shout, "Get out, all of you get out." Hey, what are you doing? The policeman who was dragged out of the car in a daze was on the verge of breaking down. Qin Guang urged the others to get out of the car as he turned his head and said, "Dude, I'm not joking with you. Take a closer look at my ID. I'm one of our own. The situation is urgent and I don't have time to explain in detail." The man who was robbed of the car then looked at Qin Guang's ID. Seemed to be true. My serial number is on it. You can check it yourself. There's no problem with the serial number format. If you're from Shun's special training area, I can't check your serial number with my authority. Then get out of the car quickly. Before leaving, Qin Guang was unwilling to give up. He looked at the few people who were kicked out of the car and asked, "Dude, can you lend me a gun?" "No." "Why don't you get someone who can fight to help?" "No, we still have an important mission here. Goodbye." The Jetta roared and sped away. After a while, the BMW had been gone for almost a minute, but Qin Guang was confident that he could catch up with them. Although his right hand was injured, it was not a problem for him to control the gear lever. He set his sights on the two helicopters. As he was pondering, his phone rang. It was an unknown number. Chapter 557. Are you Qin Guang? That's me. I'm Xing Yongtai, the director of the Yanjing Special Affairs Bureau. I'm already here. You can leave now. I'll take over the rest. But don't you understand what I mean? Although you're the instructor of Shun's special training zone, this matter is not within your jurisdiction. I'm grateful for your cooperation, but you'd better pretend that you don't know anything. Now that you're a soldier, I don't think I need to emphasize discipline to you. Qin Guang curled his lips. This Xing Yongtai was very impolite. His words were filled with a sense of superiority, as if he was someone extraordinary. I'm someone recommended by Old Tan and even Old Tan respects me. Your attitude is very unfriendly. Originally he wanted to find someone to borrow a helicopter to cooperate with him, but now it seemed that it was better not to tell him that he was chasing the two people. Otherwise, this guy would inexplicably use his stupid director's identity to ask him to go back and hand over this matter to them. Then wouldn't he have to call the police today? No, I'm driving a police car. Director Tsing, then I wish you success in your mission. I'm leaving now. Don't worry about me. Goodbye. After hanging up the phone and turning it off, Qin Guang sped up again. The old Jetta looked like an F1 car. What? You said that Qin Guang borrowed a police car to chase after them? Director Tsing had just gotten off the helicopter when he heard the terrible news. Yes, he borrowed it with his officer's certificate from Shun's special training camp. My people didn't dare to refuse him. Did he say who he was chasing? Xing Yongtai asked again. He didn't say anything. He just said it was an urgent mission. Idiot. Why didn't you follow him? Director Tsing, I thought your matter was more urgent. Xing Yongtai ignored this person and tried to call Qin Guang, but found that his phone was turned off. Should we send more helicopters to chase after him? The one that left before should be an unlicensed BMW. He might not be able to catch up. Xing Yongtai shook his head. He can definitely catch up. You don't know how fast he drives. It's just that he shouldn't have gone after those people. He shouldn't have gotten involved in these things. But he's already gone. Forget it. If he wants to die, I can't stop him. I was kind enough to let him leave, but he wants to go. We just have to do our own things. Xing Yongtai shook his head indifferently. He only said in his heart, I've already done what I should. If something really happens to your son-in-law, I've already done what you asked me to do. You can't blame me. Looking at the messy forest, Xing Yongtai's brows furrowed tighter and tighter. He muttered to himself, another monster has appeared in that group of people. That Qin Guang is really meddlesome. What's done is done. Now you should just peacefully guard your own land. After a period of time, you will become the emperor's son-in-law and enjoy your simple life. Isn't that good? Do you have to do it yourself? You don't know how terrifying those people are. Forget it. I really don't understand the minds of these young people. Xing Yongtai shuddered again. It's been many years since he's seen such an intense fight between internal force martial artists. The scene reconstructed in his mind, and it was indeed terrifying. Uncle, have you still not contacted Mr. Ng? The young man leisurely stepped on the accelerator. Even if he didn't deliberately accelerate, the excellent control of the modified BMW coupled with his good driving skills, coupled with the extraordinary reflexes of an internal force martial artist, his driving speed was basically at the level of a professional rally racer. The middle-aged man clutched his shoulder with a pale face. The 2 darts in his stomach had been pulled out and thrown away. He barely managed to stop the bleeding with a bandage. Will you die if you don't say a word? I'm not in the mood to talk now. You were the one who let your guard down and fell into the trap, and now you're blaming me? The young man teased. Who would have thought that guy would be so sinister? I really don't understand how he got so much strength from his fists. He doesn't have internal force. No, it's just pure physical strength. It's a little strange. The middle-aged man suddenly felt a jolt on his waist. He hurriedly shushed the young man. The young man immediately shut his mouth, not daring to say another word. How's it going? Is Wenwen still alive? I didn't see Wenwen's body, but when Lao San and his men are all dead. Based on my judgment, Wenwen should have broken through the realm of skin, muscles, bones. Nonsense. You don't even know the concept of the realm after skin, muscles, bones. How could it be that easy? Ridiculous. Mr. Ng obviously didn't believe him and rebuked him angrily. The middle-aged man looked bitter, but other than this conclusion, he really didn't know what else to say. Forget it, both of you come back immediately. At this moment, the young man suddenly exclaimed, Oh no! There's a police car behind us. Don't interrupt. I'm reporting to Mr. Ng. The middle-aged man didn't want to bother with him. He thought to himself that although this car was just a BMW 5, it was basically equivalent to a WRC rally car. Moreover, this young man was driving it. How could anyone catch up so easily? The young man panicked. I'm not joking. They really caught up. What kind of lousy jet is this? It's a jet. It doesn't even slow down when passing corners? The middle-aged man finally took it seriously and quickly turned back to look. Oh my God, they really caught up. What's going on? Mr. Ng, who was about to hang up on the other end, asked. It's Qin Guang. Qin Guang is catching up with us. The middle-aged man shouted. Mr. Ng was silent for a while, then said after a while, If the 2 of you get into a fight over such a trivial matter again, I'll throw you both into the 10,000 Snakes cave. Creak. The communication was cut off and the 2 people in the car looked at each other. You didn't ask him if we can kill Qin Guang? The young man asked in distress. No. Then if we hold back, can the 2 of us easily defeat him now? The young man asked again. No. So the only way is for me to drive as hard as I can to get rid of him? The middle-aged man nodded. As he's driving a Jetta. If you buy 10 of his cars, it shouldn't be impossible to get rid of him, right? I'll try my best. Very soon the young man realized how naive he was. Even though he had used all his strength, the distance between the 2 cars was still getting closer. There are too many corners on this stupid road. Every time we turn he's getting closer and closer. If we run straight, I definitely won't lose to him. Isn't that obvious? Oh no. He's coming. This lunatic. In theory, could the Jetta win if it crashed into the BMW? The answer was, basically, the chance of the lousy Jetta winning was less than 30%. The weight of the two cars was on a completely different level. However, if the timing was right when the BMW had just turned over a hill, the Jetta could crash into it at the right time. It was completely possible to gain the upper hand on the narrow mountain road. This might be difficult for others, but for the racing god Qin Guang, it was as easy as flipping his hand. 30 seconds later, the two cars crashed into the field, one on top and the other on the bottom. The Jetta was on top and the BMW was on the bottom. Fortunately, the ridge on the side of the mountain road was not high, and the momentum of the two cars falling was not shocking. Qin Guang was the first to open the door and the co-driver jumped out. He was very satisfied with his crash art. The BMW would not be able to open the door easily. Then he saw the two of them jump out of the sunroof one after the other. F***ck, so what if a high-end car has a sunroof? The middle-aged man and the young man clenched their teeth in hatred, but there was nothing they could do. They stepped on the soil and ran far away. Naturally, Qin Guang chased after them. Unfortunately, the two of them did not fall for the trick this time. They could only let him keep cursing at them without looking back. They were powerful inner force experts and their advantages were fully displayed. Qin Guang, who had always been known for his stamina, could not catch up to them. If we knew that he wouldn't be able to catch up with us, we wouldn't have to go through so much trouble, the middle-aged man said as he ran while covering his wound. Yeah. The young man was very proud. You didn't leave anything behind in the car, did you? Probably, maybe, probably not. The young man began to recall. You can think about it, but don't slow down. Run quickly. I didn't forget anything, did I? The young man said to himself, thinking of the jade bottle he hid in the toolbox. He thought to himself, that guy shouldn't have the leisure to rummage through the boxes, right? Or even if he found it, he shouldn't have exposed too much information, right? It was nothing more than a hair strength pill that he secretly bought from a senior in the same sect. It was not a rare item. Qin Guang did not know how long he chased after them. When he completely lost sight of the two of them, he placed his hands on his knees and cursed, 2F** King Shameless. You don't have the demeanor of an inner force expert at all. Other than running, what else can you do? Do you dare to fight me face to face? He dragged his tired body back to the place where the two cars crashed. Obviously, the two cars could not be saved. Unwilling to give up, he went into the BMW and rummaged through the boxes. After spending so much effort, he could not get nothing. In the end, he really dug out something good from the toolbox. It was the jade bottle that the young man was thinking about just now. However, Qin Guang did not know what was inside, so he did not dare to rashly open it. He only put it in his trouser pocket. He had originally planned to leave, but when he looked back, he remembered Xing Yongtai's arrogant face and felt unhappy. If it weren't for that guy's inexplicable pretentiousness, he wouldn't have let those two people go today with the helicopter's help. He decided to go back and see the situation. When he returned to the mountain forest that was originally full of corpses, about half an hour had passed. There were no traces of blood in the distance and all the corpses were gone. Many staff wearing chemical protective suits were carrying sprayers on their backs, spraying medical hydrogen peroxide everywhere. The blood on the ground was quickly dissipating at a speed visible to the naked eye. About an hour later, there were no traces of a tragic fight left in this place. Even the tree trunks that were cut by Wenwen with a knife were disguised by some professionals operating with chainsaws to look like they had been secretly cut down. This scene made Qin Guang feel a little familiar. The Special Affairs Bureau's method of cleaning up the scene was very professional. Obviously, they had a complete set of plans, efficient and thorough, which reminded him of the incident at his family's hot pot restaurant. Although the two were not the same, the result of all the evidence being eliminated afterward was so similar. Chapter 558. Who are you? Stop. Just as Qin Guang was in a daze, two men in black suddenly stood in front of him and stared at him fiercely. Special Affairs Bureau? Qin Guang looked at the two men with his arms crossed. How did you know? The two men became even more nervous. Qin Guang rolled his eyes. Please ask your bureau chief, Comrade Xing Yongtai. I called you to come over. Your attitude is very bad. Qin Guang? The two men looked at each other and one of them asked, where is your military ID? I just gave it to a policeman. Hey, it's over there. Bro, over here, Qin Guang waved at the two policemen who were patrolling in the distance. The man easily drove the car away for Qin Guang. Obviously, he had been taught a lesson by his superior. He walked over with a sullen face and returned the ID to Qin Guang. "Where's my car?" "Don't worry about the details. The car key is here. It's parked outside. You continue with your work. I will talk to these two comrades here. This is my ID. Take a look." He had crashed someone else's car and left it on the side of the road. How could he get away with it without some tricks? Qin Guang was too embarrassed to tell them the truth. He guessed that this man would be punished when he went back. How pitiful. The policeman took the key suspiciously, but when he looked at Qin Guang's expression that everything was fine, his heart was at ease. He turned around and went back to work. After the two men from the Special Affairs Bureau saw Qin Guang's ID, they confirmed his identity. But their attitude did not change. "All right, you can go. There's nothing for you here." It seemed that the people from the Special Affairs Bureau were all the same. They all had an expression that said, "When I come, the King of Heaven is the most powerful." Qin Guang's face darkened. "That's not very good, is it? I have something to talk to your bureau chief about." "The bureau chief is very busy. There's nothing to talk to you about. Although Shun's special training camp is respected in the military system, we are not in the same system. You'd better not make things difficult for us." The two gradually became impatient. Qin Guang's brows furrowed tighter and tighter. He felt that something was wrong. They were being too vile. At this moment, another two black-clothed men walked out from the forest with a man and a woman. As they walked, they gave orders to the two of them. "Do you remember? You didn't see anything today, so don't tell anyone when you go back. This is a reward of 100,000 yuan which is allocated by the state. Once you take the money, you have to watch your mouth. Remember, don't tell anyone, not even your parents and relatives. Otherwise you'll be leaking state secrets. Go back and find out how you'll be sentenced. Don't take any chances. We'll continue to keep an eye on you." The man and the woman's faces were pale. It seemed that they were ordinary people who had come here by mistake. They had seen something they shouldn't have seen and were scared out of their wits. Listening to the staff of the Special Case Department, they nodded their heads like chickens pecking rice. Qin Guang remembered a few poisoning victims he had seen before. When he was chatting with them, these people always avoided eye contact. Although they insisted that it was food poisoning from eating in a hot pot restaurant, in fact there was something wrong with their eyes. It was just that at that time Qin Guang's family had just suffered a big change. He was just an ordinary college student with little experience in the world, so he didn't think much about it. Now that he recalled it, he suddenly felt that the reaction of those people at that time was the same as the reaction of these two people when they went out and were asked by others. They clearly knew something, but because they couldn't resist, they absolutely couldn't say it. Qin Guang increasingly wanted to talk to Xianxia face to face. "I don't know how busy your director is. I only know that all of you came here with one call from me. Don't play dumb with me. Get out of the way." Qin Guang lifted his legs and walked forward. A large group of people was piled up there. It was the place where third Uncle Wen died. The two people surrounded him from both sides and tried to stop him. "If you take another step forward, don't blame us for being rude." Qin Guang looked at the two of them suspiciously. "Stop acting. You two know about me, right? You know what I want to ask Xianxia, right?" "Who knows about you?" One of the men in black was about to quibble, but Qin Guang suddenly flashed past the two of them and ran forward. The two hurriedly chased after him, but it was too late. Xianxia, who was frowning and talking to someone, heard the commotion and turned his head to see Qin Guang running over. His mood worsened. Just now they finally found out the owner of the corpse. It was so big that it made his hair stand on end. The Wen family. Third Master. Wen Jingyun. After confirming the identity of this person, the knowledgeable and experienced Xianxia almost fainted. The Special Affairs Bureau was a special department that specialized in cleaning up the loose ends of these forces. They enjoyed superior privileges and status in the country. However, no matter how hard they tried, no matter how much they flattered, they still could not break into the circle. In the eyes of outsiders, they were limitless. However, in the eyes of those forces who were skilled and secretive, it was not an exaggeration to say that the Special Affairs Bureau was a dog wagging its tail and begging for mercy. Even if a descendant of a declining force like the Thousand Despair sect jumped out, it was enough for the Special Affairs Bureau to cooperate with them. That little girl could do whatever she wanted. After decades of operation, those people and forces were still mysterious. Until now, the number of inner force practitioners recorded in the Special Affairs Bureau's records was probably less than 1/10 of the true number. As for how many people had inner force, how strong the strongest inner force practitioners were, where they were hiding, and what methods they used to make a living, they were still in the dark about this information and intelligence. They could only see the tip of the iceberg of the entire martial arts world. In fact, if they really wanted to get to the bottom of the matter, it was not impossible with modern technology, and they could always find some clues. However, more than 10 years ago, a group of powerful people who felt that they were being spied on and were dissatisfied with it did something shocking. They easily shuttled through the heavily guarded compound in the capital city. They either left a note saying that they had been there, or mischievously drew a grimace on someone's face, or secretly left a jade pendant next to someone's pillow with a piece of paper next to it. It read, "Please take care of yourself and cultivate your mind." Their attitude was very clear. Those who were willing to communicate with them, they would naturally do so. However, if they continued to use methods that they did not like to probe, then don't blame them for being merciless. There were many paths, and it was best for everyone to walk their own path and live in peace. The more powerful the person, the more afraid they were of death. From then on, such active probes were completely stopped. Instead, the Special Affairs Bureau was established to clean up the mess that these people had accidentally left behind in the world. Of course, it was not completely impossible for them to carry out intelligence work. For example, declining forces like the Thousand Despair sect would occasionally send someone out to communicate with the outside world. Naturally, the Special Affairs Bureau would treat them like a treasure. Although they did not dare to force any information out of them, what if they were willing to say something? Therefore, they still had some results in the end. For example, the Wen family, who only appeared on paper, was very clear that they were an influential force in that circle. They could recognize Wen Jingyun's identity because, in the process of cleaning up the mess, they had hired a descendant of a certain force to walk in the outside world to help with the identification of Wen Jingyun. At that time, that person had also jumped out of his chair, his face pale with fright, shouting that the world was about to change. How could Xing Yongtai, who was present at the scene, not be afraid? Qin Guang moved closer. "Director Tsing, the people from the Special Affairs Bureau are all so ostentatious." Xing Yongtai was in no mood to deal with Qin Guang. He turned his face away and did not want to speak. His mind was filled with analysis of what Third Master Wen's death meant, and what kind of commotion that circle would cause. The Jianghu of those people was probably going to be flooded with blood. At the thought that there might be serious situations that would make one's scalp numb in the near future, he felt a headache coming on. Qin Guang's face darkened. This old man was asking for a beating. In fact, the misunderstanding was caused by Old Man Tan not telling the truth to Xing Yongtai. In the special training camp, Qin Guang, the chief instructor, had taught Xing Yongtai extraordinary skills that were close to divine. His skills were not inferior to those of the Thousand Despair sect, if not better. But after all, Qin Guang did not have internal force. This information was passed to Tan Zhaohua from Xuelin's mouth, and it was absolutely true. When Tan Zhaohua communicated with the Special Affairs Bureau in Yanjin, he considered the uniqueness of the situation. Coupled with the fact that Qin Guang did not have internal force, he only told Xing Yongtai that Qin Guang's current identity was the darts instructor of Shun's special training camp. With Xing Yongtai's authority, he could generally find some information related to Qin Guang. Before coming here, he had taken the initiative to communicate with the Jin family, but that was all he knew. He even despised Tan Zhaohua's flattery in his heart. Darts were not a necessary skill in the military system. Was it necessary for him to give Tan Zhaohua the title of chief instructor just to please the Jin family? In Xing Yongtai's intelligence system, there were only 3 omissions regarding Qin Guang. First, he did not know that Wenwen was Qin Guang's classmate. Second, he did not know that the masked loli who circled around Qin Guang at the World Championship was Xin Qin. Third, because of the conflict between the 2 departments, Tan Zhaohua did not let Xing Yongtai know that in fact, Qin Guang had already asked someone to investigate Wenwen's movements. Only Qin Guang could ask someone to investigate this matter. In the eyes of the Special Affairs Bureau in Yanjin, it was a big taboo. Therefore, Xing Yongtai now only regarded Qin Guang as a lucky man who was lucky enough to hang out with the daughter of a rich family. Today he was just lucky, or rather unlucky, to encounter this matter. Perhaps a year ago his family was very unlucky and was involved in some trivial matter, but he was very lucky and knew a lot of tricks. Now he was going to make a fortune again. That was all. Xing Yongtai knew that Qin Guang had not given up and wanted to get to the bottom of it, but he really did not want to say more. This bad attitude was not only because he looked down on Qin Guang, but also because he deliberately pretended to be difficult to deal with to make him back off. Qin Guang was angry, but he wanted to ask about his family, so he suppressed his temper. Chief Tseng, I won't take up too much of your time. I just want to ask you about one thing. A year ago, Lilai County in Dachuan Province. Chapter 559. Xing Yongtai waved his hand impatiently. I don't have time for you. What are you doing? Who told you to let those irrelevant people in? Get him out of here. Qin Guang had been annoyed ever since he started chasing after the two internal force users. Everyone knew something, but he just had to keep it to himself. He finally lost his temper. F*CKU. I'm giving you face, but you don't want it. Do you really think I'm that easy to bully? He raised his hand to grab Xing Yongtai's neck. Xing Yongtai was also furious. You keep picking fights. Do you really think that you can bully me just because old Master Jean told you about it? Tie him up. Who dares to make a move? At that moment, a sharp yet pleasant voice came from afar. Several silver darts whizzed through the air and landed right in front of the feet of the Beijing Special Affairs Bureau members who were surrounding Qin Guang. They did not dare to take another step forward. At the same time, a petite white figure hurried over from the bushes. Qin Guang raised his eyebrows. Why was Xianxia here? Xing Yongtai was stunned. The sudden appearance of the little girl made him very wary. You are? Thousand Despair Sect. Xianxia. Xianxia landed next to Qin Guang and held his arm. She glared at Xing Yongtai. Are you going to make the Thousand Despair Sect your enemy? Xing Yongtai had heard of Xianxia's name many times. Recently, cooperating with Xianxia's work was also their main focus. However, this little girl had always been mysterious and her actions were always elusive. It was hard to fathom her. Even though she had been promoted to the position of the president of an association under the General Administration of Sport, no one had ever seen her face. Xing Yongtai did not expect that Qin Guang would be acquainted with Xianxia after he represented the China Escort Association in the World Championship and won the championship. He carefully looked at Xianxia, comparing her with the few relevant information he had. Her petite and thin stature, her porcelain doll-like face, and her strange footwork that seemed to be stepping on air just now, it was likely that no one would dare to pretend to be her. I'm Xing Yongtai from the Yen Capital Special Affairs Bureau. Nice to meet you, Miss Xin. May I know? Xianxia waved her hand impatiently. Nothing much. I heard that Brother Qin Guang is here, so I came to watch the fun. After saying that, she turned to look at Qin Guang and said casually, let's go. We shouldn't stay here for long. Qin Guang shook his head and looked at Xing Yongtai. Bureau Chief Tseng, I am only asking a few questions. I am also one of the parties involved. Is that too much? Xianxia looked a little distressed, but since Qin Guang insisted, she didn't say anything else. She just pouted and looked at Xing Yongtai unhappily. Xing Yongtai first looked at Qin Guang, then at Xianxia. He moved aside slightly and showed Third Master Wen's body to Xianxia. Miss Xin, this is a serious matter. Are you really going to support him? Xianxia glanced at Third Master Wen from the corner of her eyes. Her body trembled and she lost control of her hand that was pinching Qin Guang's arm, causing Qin Guang to feel pain. However, she quickly calmed herself down. There's no need to support him. Just like he said, what he wants to ask is not too much. Mr. Tseng, since you know about it, why don't you just have a chat? With me here, you won't be breaking any rules. Just treat it as you telling me and I will pass it on to him. All right. Xing Yongtai nodded helplessly and ordered the others to continue cleaning up the mess. He brought Qin Guang and Xianxia to an empty corner. I have an impression of the matter you mentioned. We have to deal with dozens of similar cases every year. Normally, I wouldn't pay attention to such trivial matters. However, I happened to look at your file a few days ago. The Special Affairs Bureau is indeed involved in this matter, but it is the work of the Southwest Branch. Since he had decided to speak, Xing Yongtai did not hold back. Although Qin Guang already knew that this would be the answer, he still felt relieved when he heard Xing Yongtai say it so casually. At the same time, he also felt sorrowful and indignant. Then who are you helping to cover up the truth? And what's with the food poisoning? Qin Guang asked, suppressing his anger. Xing Yongtai shook his head. I don't know. You don't know? How could you not know? You've done so much and all the clues have been cut off. Now you're telling me that you don't know who did it? Are you King kidding me? Qin Guang's eyes widened. He felt that this guy was still playing Tai Chi with him. Xing Yongtai did not relent. Instead he said firmly, we really don't know the reason. It's just that after the poisoning case happened, the local department felt strange and reported the matter to us. According to the symptoms of the poisoned person, we speculated that it was suspected to be related to some people from the pugilistic world who used poison. It has reached the standard of handling a special case and we set the tone for handling it, mainly to maintain stability. So you destroyed the evidence first and let us take all the blame? Qin Guang asked. Xing Yongtai was a little embarrassed, but he nodded. Yes, the simplest way to determine the case is, of course, to directly determine that it was food poisoning. We also can't find out who did it. Our focus is only to eliminate the follow-up effects. As for other things, they are not within our scope of consideration. That's so easy. In other words, in order to save those so-called people from the pugilistic world, you let ordinary people like us shoulder all the responsibility? You don't even know who did it and you're so attentive. Did no one think about whether this is unfair to me and my family? Qin Guang was so angry that he laughed. He only felt that it was sad. Xing Yongtai was really embarrassed by his interrogation. He argued, I'm also doing this to protect you. It's for your own good. If they insist on getting to the bottom of the matter once things get worse, they will not hesitate to kill you to silence you. As far as I know, the relevant departments later did not urge your family to pay compensation, right? This is already an appropriate policy and support. You simply don't know what's good for you. Don't know what's good for you? Then I really have to thank you for your great kindness? Qin Guang said sarcastically. Xing Yongtai was already extremely impatient from the repeated interrogation. Then what do you want? You want to know who did it? I don't know. All of us don't know. Do you want me to bear a thorn and ask for forgiveness? Then I'll apologize to you here, okay? You're not in my position, so you don't know how difficult our work is. Can't you understand a little bit? Qin Guang looked at him for a long time, then shook his head. If you don't want to understand, then forget it, trash. Okay, let's go. He did confirm from Xing Yongtai that this matter was indeed related to internal force users, but it was a pity that the people from the Special Bureau were more useless than he thought. They did not even dare to investigate and only covered up the traces. When the two of them walked far away, Xianxia saw that he was still expressionless. She shook his hand and said, in fact, it's useless for you to blame him. These people have always been like this when dealing with us. But according to my speculation, it might be like this. Two people who use drugs happened to meet in your restaurant, and then quietly competed, causing some of the diners to be implicated and poisoned. Qin Guang shook his head. Your theory is not valid. It would be better if my family was just accidentally implicated. But this matter is clearly deliberately targeted by someone. Qin Guang told Xianxia about the family he met in Yanjing, then said, do you think that if it wasn't deliberate, those people would have made the boy take poison and pretend to be injured, then give him the antidote? Then what are they after? Xianxia was puzzled. Qin Guang thought for a long time, then spat out two words, Wen. From time to time he would wonder if his relationship with Wen had become an entry point for some people to target Wen. This possibility was indeed very high, but he did not want to think about it. But when he put together the things he encountered these days, this matter became more and more clear. Presumably Wen also guessed the same. Perhaps she felt guilty, so she had to leave him today. Perhaps she planned to use her power to solve this matter and then give him an explanation. This made Qin Guang feel very complicated. Who? Wen family. Xianxia suddenly thought of Third Master Wen's body, then looked at Qin Guang with a face full of disbelief. She stared at him for a long time, then turned her face away. Do you know her? Qin Guang asked. Xianxia nodded helplessly. I've heard of her, but I don't know her. She's a proud daughter of heaven. How could she know a small fry like me from a down-and-out sect? Do you know her? Qin Guang never thought that Xianxia would look so lonely. That, actually, you're not bad. Wen and I were university classmates for 3 years. Our relationship is not bad. Then I really don't know if I should congratulate you or say that you're unlucky. You were involved in the Wen family's matter and now your family is still alive, thank God. Don't expect the people from the Special Affairs Bureau to help you. I don't believe that Wen didn't investigate it herself. Since you had a good relationship with her and she didn't help you solve this matter, I'm afraid she didn't find anything herself. Today Third Master Wen died here. I'm afraid this is a big conspiracy against the Wen family. On the surface, the Special Affairs Bureau is cleaning up the mess, but in the dark, someone is stirring up trouble behind the Wen family's back. With this two-pronged approach, it would be strange if you could find anything. My spear is really sturdy. Qin Guang sighed. Xianxia patted him on the shoulder and said, "That's enough. It's all in the past. You're doing pretty well now. Don't worry about the past and look forward to the future. There's no obstacle in life that can't be overcome." I'm not used to being lectured by a little girl who's still wet behind the ears. Qin Guang forced a smile. In my opinion, Wen is not kind. Someone like her shouldn't have friends, especially an ordinary person like you. With the status of the Wen family, a small dispute is enough to kill an ordinary person like you 100 times over. Didn't she think that being friends with you would bring you trouble? Qin Guang shook his head. I can't explain it to you. Don't talk behind her back. What did Wen want from him? Qin Guang asked himself in his heart. Of course not. Compared to her, he's just a poor loser. Perhaps he might have changed after obtaining the heavenly Holy Grail, but before that there wasn't anything worth coveting about him. His relationship with Wen was complicated, but it was actually simple. It was like a tortoise looking at a mung bean. Putting aside all external factors, it was just two people with similar tastes. Regardless of gender difference, status difference, or the strange combination of a goddess and a loser, the relationship between the two was laughable. Perhaps it was really childish, but in Qin Guang's eyes, it was that especially pure and unambitious friendship. We are brothers. Wen's feelings must have been very complicated. She must have considered what Xianxia said. Otherwise, with their relationship, she would not have kept silent when there were so many opportunities to help him. Although she knew that he would most likely reject her, she did not mention it. This was precisely why she did not want outsiders to know that their relationship was very close. But in the end she could not avoid these things. Xianxia told him not to get involved and not to think about these things anymore, but Qin Guang felt that he definitely could not do it. He clenched the cup in his hand, lifted it up and took a heavy gulp. Whether it was for Wen or for the grievances he and his family had suffered, he could not let this matter go so easily. Moreover, since he had already gotten involved, it would not be so easy to get out now. Now that third Uncle Wen had just died, the confrontation between Wen and her hidden enemies had obviously not ended. God knew when those people would once again set their sights on a so-called small fry, like him. When that time came, he was afraid that it would really be a disaster. Qin Guang had enough of such a passive situation. Since there were people who could threaten his and his family's lives at any time, why not directly and neatly link them together? Root. Rise. I am now the master of the heavenly Holy Grail. No matter how powerful an inner strength person is, he is still a human. His backer is God. The old man now had 7 statues of gods, and his daily faith value was more than 100,000. The old man was very confident. He suddenly lifted the cup and pretended to drink, but his head plunged into the boundary of the cup. Chapter 560. He was thinking about something. Currently, he had a daily production of 130,000 faith points. Previously, when he was training Xuelin to construct the fake cup world, he had used up 600,000 faith points. Since paying faith points could provide Xuelin with the fake cup world, as the owner of the Holy Grail, he should be even more qualified to enjoy this benefit. Paying faith to enter the Skyline Cup required approximately 6,600,000 faith points. In that case, if he paid 600,000 faith points, he should be able to enter the Skyline Cup's intermediate world once. That way he could pay faith points in bulk and continuously receive the Skyline Cup's intermediate world training. Entering the Spirit Seeing Cup world once every 5 days was the goal of continuously strengthening his physical body. He couldn't just have the strongest Qilin arm in history, he also had to have Wind God's legs, Heaven's legs, Iron Bridge, Black Tortoise back and Vajra head. If the conditions were good, he could even train the strongest chest muscles in history. Small penis? Oh, there was no need to train there, it was even stronger than the Qilan arm, but the two hanging missiles could also be trained. Qin Guang's plan was very simple. Using the model of the Qilan arm, he would pass through the spirit-seeing cup world in batches and train every part of his body to the extreme. Although he didn't have inner strength, as long as he trained other parts to be as strong as the Qilan arm, who would he be afraid of? I'll let you inner strength people see that without inner strength, I'll still be better than you in perfect form. Thick line. The 7 divine statues that I'm so proud of. His figure slowly condensed in the world in the cup, incomparable heroic spirit reaching the clouds. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that he was quick-witted, to actually take the initiative to think of such a great plan to become an expert. Alright, actually this matter was quite bullsh *t. Other people's personal grandpas should have sent a similar shortcut to the main character from the start. Baby, you have to remember you can't do this here, you have to do that here. Why? You don't understand, let this old grandpa give you a demonstration. This wasn't the end, I still have to urge you every day, baby, work harder, baby, work harder, baby, if you don't work harder the two of us will have nothing to eat. He turned around and looked at Lord Lioli. Apart from stuffing the cup into his hand, what else had she done? Ever since he met her in the first few worlds in the cup, she could still use the tone of reciting scriptures that she had prepared in advance, and explain a little bit to herself when she broke into the world in the cup. Later on she became more and more lazy. It was fine if she could not explain anymore, but there were more and more things that she did not know. Just like the faith point thread that changed color when she was training Xuelin a few days ago, she didn't understand it at all. She only knew that it could be done this way, but she didn't know that cultivating Xuelin could also bring out a subsidiary fanatic. Moreover, she was not ashamed of it. Instead, she was proud of it. She had an expression that said, "You're a lab rat. You deserve to feel the stones to cross the river. Hey, this cup is specially used to imprison you, the Divine Emperor. You have lived in it for so many years. Did you fall asleep? As for this unreliable personal grandpa, oh no, personal big-breasted Divine Emperor," Qin Guang expressed extreme contempt from the bottom of his heart. As the cheat behind the old man, she did not do proper work all day long. She only knew how to play games and watch TV dramas. She was addicted to the internet. It was not easy for her to help him get some investment to start a business. So far 170 million had been thrown out, but there was no sign of a bubble. It looked like it was going to go down the drain. You are a typical useless teammate, extremely incompetent. As the saying goes, whoever has milk is the mother. People tend to remember the shortcomings of the people around them, but not the kindness of others to them. Qin Guang did not remember how many times he had shouted, "Lioli, save me," in his heart, but after that she tried to do everything possible to help him. He only remembered that Lioli would sometimes throw a tantrum at him. Therefore, after people became familiar with each other, they would gradually lose their sense of mystery as their relationship grew closer. The way they interacted with each other would become more casual. For example, when many people talked to their own family, they would always have a bad temper, always feeling that there was an endless fire in their hearts. However, when facing strangers they would be polite and gentle. Then, floating in the air, he opened his eyes and saw the empty cloud platform. He thought that his eyes were playing tricks on him. He shook his head and stared at it with his eyes wide open. Where are the statues of the old man? Where are my beloved alto, the champion's shield, the sky-raising dart, the Kirin arm, the white piano, the oversized pencil, and the miniature ding-ding? Gone. That's impossible. This was like a heavy blow to the head. Just a second ago he had placed his life's hopes on these statues and was counting on them to make a comeback. In the end, when he came in, he saw that they were all gone. His life's hopes had all gone up in smoke. Qin Guang's body staggered and he almost fell to the ground. His mind felt as if it had been struck by lightning. He didn't even give up and threw himself onto the cloud platform of the Kirin arm. He lay on the ground and looked around at the position of the Kirin arm in his memory, but he still couldn't find anything. A strange wind started blowing in the Cloud Sea Cup world, blowing Qin Guang into a mess. He felt as if the wind was bleak and the water was cold and he didn't want to live anymore. Damn it! Don't mess with me. Where's my statue? Where did it go? Qin Guang was so flustered that he wanted to run out and find a magnifying glass to hold in his hand. Then he would come back and carefully search the cloud platform inch by inch. Oh, ask Lioli. Qin Guang stood up and jumped down. He shouted as he ran towards the center of Cloud City. Lioli, where's my statue? Where's the statue? No one. She's actually not here? The computer desk was empty. Ever since he gave her a computer, this was the first time Qin Guang didn't see her by the computer. She was a serious internet addict. This was simply a fantasy. Dear Cry Flower, right? Where's Lioli? Did you see her? Qin Guang ran back to the small wooden house and asked. Dear Cry ignored him. My waist is broken. I can't talk. As the culprit who broke her, although he knew she was lying, Qin Guang couldn't do anything to her. After all, she broke her waist from top to bottom. After searching for half an hour in Cloud City, Qin Guang finally found Lioli in a corner outside the city wall. Oh, what a coincidence. When did you come? Lioli had a faint smile on her face. What are you doing here? I often think about who I am, where I come from, where I'm going, and what's the meaning of my God's life. Every time I think about this, I'll find a quiet corner and think about it quietly. I'll watch the tides rise and fall above the sea of clouds. I don't know how long it has been. Lu Li, who was only wearing a bikini feather dress, spoke with a celestial aura. Then where's my statue? Lioli smiled. You can't bring the statue with you when you're alive, and you can't take it with you when you're dead. Don't care about the details. You have a whole 3,000 worlds. Don't worry about the gains and losses of this time. As the dignified savior, you have to learn to look forward. But now the faith value is gone. Don't care about the details. This is the natural evolution of the heavenly Holy Grail. Try to feel it with your heart. Your statue has already turned into a sky full of stars and completely integrated into the sea of clouds. They are everywhere. Qin Guang took a deep breath. I felt it. There isn't. That's because your realm hasn't reached it yet. Work hard, fight hard. Sooner or later you'll be able to use your heart to find traces of them. Lioli was still smiling indifferently, but she was cursing in her heart. Damn it, are you done yet? I can't act anymore. It's so strenuous. Dear Cry's idea was quite bad. My statue of God. I'll fight you to the death. At this time, I'm relying on them to train my ultimate skills in counterattack. You've lost them for no reason. Now you're still talking nonsense with me. You have to give me an explanation. Qin Guang finally jumped up and pressed his fist towards Lioli. I'll make you not bring it with you when you're alive. I'll make you not bring it with you when you die. I'll make you look forward. I'll make you everywhere. Qin Guang roared and punched out. Lioli also flipped out. She pressed down on Qin Guang's fist and kicked him into the air. I also don't know why it disappeared. It disappeared for no reason. What's the use of flipping out at me? I also don't know why. I just watched it disappear and become smaller and smaller. I wanted to investigate what happened outside the Holy Grail, but I couldn't do anything. It disappeared for no reason. You can't blame me. As expected, I'm not his match. About half an hour later, a disheartened Qin Guang lay on the ground with a swollen face. Thinking about it, losing the statue doesn't seem to be a big deal. Lioli jumped back. She was shocked by his lifeless tone. Although she had finally relied on her fists as planned to make this kid behave, his current state clearly showed that he had suffered a heavy blow. It seemed like he was going to give up. Thinking about it carefully, I really can't muster up any energy. I feel like my body has been hollowed out. Qin Guang muttered as he lay on the ground. Lioli looked again. Damn, this guy is so depressed that he's about to melt. Is the situation really that serious? I've worked hard for a few decades and now I'm back to square one. The statue is gone and so are my faith points. Even if I continue to work hard to build a new statue, it will disappear for no reason sooner or later like now. It's already melted. Lioli looked at Qin Guang, whose spirit body had already turned into a puddle on the ground, and screamed loudly. Hey, don't die. Hold on a little longer. Lioli lay beside the puddle and scooped up a handful of water with both hands. My butt hurts a little. Lioli let go because the color of the puddle of water was yellow and not very elegant. So it was his butt. Well, it's already turned into water. So novel. At some unknown time, Lu Minghua had pulled out her roots from the floor of Cloud City. She jumped with the wooden house and looked at Qin Guang on the ground. Lioli rolled her eyes at her. It's all your bad idea. You said to just beat him up. Now that it's like this, tell me what to do? But I didn't tell you to beat him into a puddle of water. He was so depressed that his spirit body melted and you're blaming me? I don't care, it looks very delicious. It doesn't rain in Cloud Xianxia and I'm so thirsty. I'll drink a mouthful first. Lu Minghua jumped again. the wooden house and the roots landed on the puddle of water that Qin Guang had turned into. Water sprayed everywhere and the branches suddenly swelled. Ah, so delicious, so comfortable. Lily's mouth opened wider and wider. Damn. Fuck. I'm going crazy. Zhen is going crazy. Which part of his body did you suck in? Spit it out. Spit it out for me. Lu Minghua burped. I don't know, it feels very nourishing. Chapter 561. Qin Guang, who had turned into a puddle of water, was also scared out of his wits. It was already inexplicable that he turned into water in the cup world. Just now, when Lily picked up a part of his butt, it was even more painful. Now this flower had directly sucked away a puddle of water. How could he not panic? I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Where did you suck away? Qin Guang screamed. Lily pounced forward and pretended to grab Lu Minghua's branch, trying to squeeze out the water that had been sucked into her stomach. This was obviously unrealistic. Lu Minghua burped again, then shook her body and half of the branch sprang up out of thin air. She said with satisfaction, "It has been digested." Lily was completely dumbfounded. Your digestion speed is a bit fast. What should I do? I'm going to die. Lily, I'm going to die. I don't even know where I've been eaten. Qin Guang continued to scream. You should cheer up a little and transform your spiritual body back for me. Won't you know where it's gone after transforming? Why are you still lying on the ground? Aren't you afraid that she will suck it again? Lily picked up the wooden box and pressed it to the side. She turned around and urged Qin Guang. About 10 minutes later, Qin Guang slowly returned to his human form, but halfway through he didn't panic anymore. Just now, when he was inexplicably in the form of water, Lily grabbed his butt, which was very painful. But this time, when part of his body was sucked away by Lu Minghua, he didn't feel any pain. Either he had already died or she had sucked to a place that was not painful or itchy. In the process of Qin Guang's transformation, Lu Minghua also had an accident. She didn't move anymore, but she continued to grow taller at a speed visible to the naked eye. Her branch became translucent, constantly flickering with strange flowing light. Lily tried to shout a few words, but Lu Minghua completely ignored her. Obviously, she had entered a mysterious state that was beyond Lioli's understanding. Lily was also having a headache. The more she thought about it, the more she felt like she was being cheated. These two people were more troublesome than the other. Forget about Qin Guang, this mischievous guy, but Lu Minghua, who followed him here, was also crazy. Once he was crazy, he ate a piece of Qin Guang. If he wanted to do something, he would do it big. Lily had no idea what would happen after she absorbed Qin Guang's spiritual body. Qin Guang carefully checked every inch of his body, but he didn't find anything missing. Strange, what's going on? He clearly felt like his body was being hollowed out, but why didn't anything decrease? Could it be that a part of his stomach was missing? *CK, this taste is a little heavy. That's not right either. It doesn't hurt anywhere. Even if the most useless appendix was sucked out, there should at least be some pain, right? Qin Guang turned his head and asked Lily, do I look like I'm missing weight? Lily looked back at him. She lost control of her emotions. What's going on? What's wrong with you? You're making me feel very uneasy. Why don't you touch your head? Stupid. Lily conjured a mirror in her hand and threw it at Qin Guang. Qin Guang caught the mirror with one hand and touched his head with the other. Then he looked at the shiny salted duck egg in the mirror and was silent for more than 10 seconds before letting out a long sigh. It's just a loss of hair. At most, I'll join the anti-Baldy alliance later. That Baldy president will definitely become an even more loyal fan of mine when he sees that I'm cooperating with him. Have you ever seen a celebrity shave his head to cooperate with his fan club? I'm such an approachable internet celebrity of the new era. You don't seem to mind? Lily sat cross-legged beside Qin Guang and looked at Lu Minghua, who was still growing taller and had already broken the wooden house. Qin Guang also sat beside her calmly. What's wrong with that? It's just a bald head. At most, I'll be Wuku for a few days. It'll grow back sooner or later. Hee hee. Lily smiled without saying anything. Don't smile like that. You're giving me goosebumps. Just tell me what's wrong. I'm mentally prepared. Lily touched his scalp that was as smooth as a boiled egg. Feels really good. It's not bad to think that I'll have such a comfortable bowling ball in the future. You mean my hair won't grow back? Qin Guang faintly felt that something was wrong. Liuli nodded and swung her beautiful black hair to slap Qin Guang's face. You're now in a spiritual state. Your hair in the spiritual state has been eaten. When you go out, your real hair will quickly dry up and then, forever. Damn it. Don't be sad. I think your bald head looks more handsome than usual. Believe me, this is God's sense of beauty. It's not wrong. Don't many football stars like to shave their heads in this world? For example, your favorite Brazilian Ronaldo? Carlos. And what's his name again? Zidane. Zidane, that's the Mediterranean that comes out of hair loss. Forget it, stop struggling. Since things have come to this, you might as well accept reality. Without hair, you can effectively reduce wind resistance when you exercise vigorously. The shape of your head right now is very aerodynamic. As expected of a veteran netizen, these modern words came out of Liuli's mouth like it was a game. Is there really no chance for it to grow back? Don't ask me. This emperor is getting more and more confused about this broken cup of yours. Figure it out yourself. From the inexplicable disappearance of the divine statue to you turning into water, and now dear Christ's situation, this old lady is also very confused, okay? Maybe when the heavenly holy grail is upgraded from the one-line sky to the third cloud sky, what new changes will there be? Maybe when the heavenly holy grail is upgraded from the one-line sky to the third cloud sky, what new changes will there be? As Qin Guang sucked in a cold breath, he roared, I'll be a fool if I believe you. Stop talking nonsense, there's a situation. While the two of them were chatting, the deer cry flower in front of them finally grew bigger and bigger. In just a few minutes, it had actually shot up over 100 feet. The stem that she had broken off earlier grew back. Pieces of green leaves that were larger than shutters swayed without any wind. The flower bud at the top rapidly expanded from its bud state, and then bloomed into a magnificent and colorful giant flower. This flower had a diameter of several feet. Qin Guang touched his bald head and stared blankly at this giant flower that rose up into the sky. Although he didn't want to admit it, touching his bald head was really addictive. So my hair is actually so nourishing. He silently lowered his head and started thinking about the other hairs on his body. He wondered if he could rely on selling his body hair in the future to make a fortune. Liuli chuckled at him again. Qin Guang looked at the giant flower bud that was bent down and hanging in midair. Could it be that a seed will grow from inside? That it will produce a flower fairy? As he said this, the flower stopped moving. It no longer continued to grow taller and taller. It looked exactly the same as when it first appeared in the cup world, except that it was much bigger. Liuli sighed. Is it over just like this? I thought it could transform. Sister Liuli. I'm still lacking something. Help me. The deer cry flower finally spoke. Liuli stood up. How can I help? Come a little closer and lend me some divine power. The deer cry flower said again. Liuli stood a little closer. Come a little closer. She came even closer. In the next moment, the several giant leaves of the deer cry flower suddenly swept down and swept Liuli up with lightning speed. What are you doing? Liuli wanted to use force to break free, but she was worried that she would hurt the deer cry flower, so she could only scream angrily. Sister Liuli, I'm just a little bit away from transforming. You have to help me. Qin Guang was also shocked by this scene. Recalling that the deer cry flower had just eaten his hair, he thought to himself, could it be that she was going to eat Liuli? Faster thief. This can't be. Although this female rogue god emperor was very unreliable, although her temper was also very bad, although she had this and that bad, the old man absolutely could not sit idly by and do nothing. Risk it all. Just as he was about to raise his leg and rush forward, he heard Liuli cry out in alarm and put her down. She didn't want to eat Liuli. Cry. This old lady has been tricked to death by you. My lustrous feather dress. Oh my God. Lustrous feather dress. This old lady finally brought in the only divine dress and you just let me eat it? Do you want this old lady to not be able to wear it for the rest of her life? No wonder Liuli was so furious. Although her lustrous feather dress had suffered a lot and often couldn't be condensed, she didn't care much about it when she didn't have it. She just used clouds to cover it, and when she could condense it she just used some cloth to cover her body. More than half of her divine power was wasted elsewhere. But it was different this time. It was completely gone. Qin Guang was happy. Oh, it's the clothes that are gone. Not bad at all. This deer cry is one of us. Opportunity. As an experienced old man, how could he let such a heaven-sent opportunity slip by him? Liuli had just suffered a great change and hadn't thought of condensing clouds to cover her body. At this moment her smooth and round divine buttocks were swaying in front of Qin Guang like a full moon in the night sky. This was not the first time he saw the benefits behind Liuli, but every time he saw these two halves of the sacred object, Qin Guang felt that his aesthetic standards would be refreshed to a new height. Head can be broken, blood can flow, but benefits can't be lost. I want to see the front. Qin Guang tiptoed forward silently. When he was about to pass by Deer Cry, he fiercely leaped forward, turned his body in midair and opened his eyes wide. Now, success or failure depended on this one move. He sprinted forward like a cannonball. His head gradually passed by Liuli, and his eyes opened wider and wider. At this moment, Liuli was immersed in the pain of losing the lustrous feather robe. How could she have thought that there was a female wolf stripping clothes in front of her and a male thief peeping behind her? When Qin Guang's head completely passed the midline and looked at the pair of perfect creations with pink jade on the peak, his mind was completely blank. What kind of beautiful scenery was this? It could make people forget all the sadness and unhappiness in the world and thoroughly cleanse their souls. This was simply a demon. In an instant, it devoured all of Qin Guang's consciousness like poison. He had once thought that after spending 200 years in the transient sea, he was already a man with a very firm will. He would definitely not easily lose his reason in front of a woman's body, but now he understood that he was only half right. He did have some resistance towards women, but this time the one he was facing was a real goddess. In a trance, Qin Guang once again thought of Liuli's divine emperor true body. At this moment her full of benefits was fully exposed, and it was not inferior to the spiritual pressure brought by the true body. The difference was that it was oppressive torture, but this time it was a completely intoxicating enjoyment. Liuli was cursing when she saw a cannonball darting past her. She turned her head to look. Damn, what's with your eyes? The old pervert's eyes were suffused with a divine light. Are you going against the heavens? The obsession in your heart is a bit too strong. She cried out in alarm and hurriedly covered her head with one hand and her lower body with the other. Pure white mist quickly appeared around her, covering her body first. Before his head hit the deer cry flower, Qin Guang was unconscious. On the other side, the deer cry flower was absorbing the lustrous feather robe, but it suddenly cried out. It was unknown where Qin Guang had hit. Liuli covered her mouth and looked at Qin Guang, whose head was half embedded in the deer cry flower's stem, who was trying to pull it out with both hands, but could not pull it out. She then listened to the deer cry flower's rather meaningful cry. This was really, evil people get their retribution. Both of them were not good people, so they deserved it. At this moment something strange happened again. The place where Qin Guang's head was embedded in the deer cry flower suddenly burst out with a dazzling light, and waves of the deer cry flower's divine sense poured out like a tide. Countless vines extended from the deer cry flower and fiercely stabbed into the ground of Cloud City. The deer cry flower's body also gradually faded as if it was really going to disappear. Liuli, save me. Qin Guang and the deer cry flower shouted at the same time. Liuli's beautiful face changed. At this moment she finally understood the current situation. First of all, the divine statue inexplicably disappeared. Then the deer cry flower ate the hair of Qin Guang's spiritual body. While it was greatly nourished, it formed an extremely profound connection with Qin Guang and the heavenly sacred grail. Then in order to transform she ate her lustrous feather dress. In the flower body condensed from her divine sense, her own divine power, Qin Guang's spiritual body and divine sense, her lustrous feather dress, and the power of God's wrath that brought her here. The composition of her power became unprecedentedly complex. Finally, Qin Guang's head was embedded in her body. Qin Guang himself was the hub of the heavenly sacred grail, so he immediately connected the deer cry flower and the heavenly sacred grail's realm in the cup. If nothing unexpected happened with the deer cry flower's current power, facing the ocean-like power of the heavenly sacred grail, she was destined to become a drop of water in the vast ocean. She was going to be assimilated by the grail. Right now she only had this spiritual body. Without it, everything would be over. So she called for help. As for Qin Guang, his spiritual body was used as a medium. For a moment, an excessively powerful power passed through his body. Just like a person getting an electric shock, he couldn't hold on any longer. Count it as my bad luck, sigh. Lioli sighed. Who told her to have such two clowns? She immediately sat down cross-legged. A moment later, a translucent, shimmering, super-small Lioli appeared above her head. It drew a meteor-like trace in the air and fiercely slammed into the place where Qin Guang and the deer cry flower were stuck together. A loud sound rang out. Qin Guang was blasted away. His head tilted to one side and he fainted again. When he woke up again, the first thing he saw when he opened his eyes was a familiar scene. The sky was filled with the familiar threads of faith value. Did the old man's faith value return? What happened just now? Qin Guang got up from the ground. The huge deer cry flower was still standing there, shining with colorful brilliance as if it was surrounded by a rainbow. The edge of the flower and leaves seemed to have some emerald green mist, like a gauze curtain. That should be the transformation of Lioli's lustrous feather dress that she had eaten. The threads that filled the sky came from the sky and directly connected to the deer cry flower. Regarding this situation, Qin Guang immediately understood. The deer cry flower had replaced the function of the statue. On the other side, Lioli was wrapped in clouds and sat at the side with a bitter face. He didn't know what she was worried about. Qin Guang leaned over and said, "What's the situation?" Lioli turned her head and glared at him fiercely. "You're the winner." Immediately after, Qin Guang saw her wave her hand and a huge force came toward him. When he came back to his senses, he was already outside. In the cup world, Lioli and deer cry flower looked at each other for a long time. "That Sister Lioli, I didn't do it on purpose. The situation was completely out of control," deer cry flower said without apology. Lioli sighed. "What should we do now? A strand of my soul was sucked into the Holy Grail. I did knock the two of you away just now, but my own strand of soul was sucked away. Tell me, what should we do now?" "Isn't this good?" "How is it good?" The world in a cup that he had experienced before was one thing, but judging from the current situation, this means that the next time a cup world like the Sea of Time appears, I will be that Captain Annie. In the world of Dota, I will be that computer. In the racing god training field, I will be that alto car. In the world of pencil sharpening, I will be that F*** King pencil sharpener. Boat driving skills, oh, he hasn't learned it yet. I will become that boat. In the world of the Qilin arm, I will be that brass firework. Pile driver? Damn, don't mention that thing. In short, won't I be tormented to death by him? Deer Cry thought for a moment. But looking at your expression, even though you say no, your body is honestly looking forward to it? At this moment, Qin Guang suddenly rushed in. But I forgot to ask something. It's very important. For some reason, he felt that the current Lioli was like a firecracker that would explode at the slightest touch. "I'll give you 1 minute. Make it short," Lioli said angrily. Qin Guang hurriedly explained the plan that he had thought of in one breath. Lioli sucked in a breath of cold air. Just when she was vexed that she was going to turn into a car, a boat, a brass firework, and some cup, "You're telling me that you plan to experience the world of the Heavenly Spirit Cup in batches." Qin Guang rubbed his hands in distress. "This time there's really no other way. I've been forced into a desperate situation by the matters outside. If I don't think of a way to become more powerful, there's a risk that my entire family might be exterminated if I'm not careful. Otherwise, Lord Lioli, can you leak a bit of your godly power outside and bless me with an easy victory? Otherwise I'll really die." Lioli endured for a very long time. Her heart was filled with countless corpses. In the end, she gritted her teeth and said, All right. No problem. I'll start preparing for you from now on. Alright. Love you, Mwax." After Qin Guang said that, he took the initiative to run away. When he disappeared once again, Deer Cry shook its huge flower bud. "Sister Lioli, take care. I'm almost broken by the two of you, really," Lioli said. Chapter 562. When he opened his eyes, the outside world was still beautiful. Beside him, Exen Qin, who was walking side by side with him, was still looking at him with a sad expression. "I said something wrong about Wenwen and you're not happy? Did I say anything wrong?" Exen Qin raised her nose, looking like a little girl throwing a tantrum. Qin Guang patted her head. "You're a kid, you don't understand adult things." "I said I'm an adult." Exen Qin stamped her feet and wanted to run away, but after 2 steps she stopped reluctantly and looked back at Qin Guang, Why don't you chase me? Qin Guang laughed. Watch less TV and don't learn these melodramatic scenes. I think you're quite melodramatic. I really don't know what you're thinking. Let's not get involved in the Wen family's business, okay? You look like you won't give up and I'm worried. Qin Guang covered his heart. How can I be so favored by you? Why are you so nice to me? He was almost moved. He and Xianxia hadn't known each other for a long time, but she was so warm-hearted. If you die, who's going to help me promote darts? I have a master's order. If you die, who will I go to? Xianxia finally told the truth. Even if you lie to me, it's fine. Don't be so worldly. Qin Guang's touched feelings disappeared instantly. This little girl was too straightforward. At this moment, a gust of wind blew through the mountain forest and Qin Guang's scalp began to itch. He knew it was time. His life would be completely rewritten at this moment. From then on, he would step on the road of being a powerhouse. To be a powerhouse, first of all, he had to be bald. Although you said so and Xing Yongtai also said so, maybe if it was someone else they would think that I was courting death. But on second thought, since I was dragged into this from the beginning, do I have a way out? There is no such thing. Even if I bury my head in the ground like an ostrich, those people won't bother me? Since they could look for me and my family once because of one Wen, wouldn't there be a second and third time? Xianxia pondered for a long time. Yes. So, I have to become stronger, right? I'm afraid you don't understand what it means to be an inner force martial artist. We are different from you. Even if you're Wenwen's friend, you're just an ordinary person. I want to help you but I'm powerless. It's too late for you to learn martial arts now. Qin Guang shook his head. You don't understand who I am. Little girl, you are still very naive. Xianxia rolled her eyes and looked at Qin Guang as if he was an idiot. She felt that this person was seriously ill and needed treatment. You must have been scared silly. I feel like I'm about to become stronger. I'll become very, very strong. Qin Guang's face was brimming with a confident smile. As he spoke, the wind blew over his head. His hair snapped in the wind and flew away. In midair, his hair that had been cut off directly turned into specks of dust, thoroughly decomposed by the wind. In an instant, a fresh and dazzling salted duck egg bald head appeared in front of Xianxia. Under the scorching afternoon sun, it shone with a dazzling radiance. Xianxia was shocked. Saitama-sensei. You also watch One Punch Man? It's pretty good, isn't it? I'm a little surprised. I didn't expect a tsundere loli like you to like silly cartoons. You're bald now. Aren't you even more silly? Life is unpredictable. I can't explain it to you. Xianxia's nerves were obviously much more tenacious than ordinary people. If it was someone else who saw the person next to them become bald in such a strange way, they would have long been scared out of their wits, thinking that a ghost had shaved his head in broad daylight. She unexpectedly accepted the reality without any discomfort. The two of them had a profound but simple discussion about who was stronger between Saitama and Xian. In the end, neither of them wanted to talk to the other. As a fresh bald head, Qin Guang of course had to defend the honor of a strong bald head, but Xianxia firmly believed that Xian, who had countless forms, had more potential. The two of them almost fought. This intense topic came to an end when Qin Guang took out a jade bottle from his crotch. Oh no, from his trouser pocket, which he had found in the car of the two escaping master warriors. Xianxia exclaimed as soon as she saw the bottle. Power pill? Power pill? What's that? Qin Guang was at a loss as he held the bottle in his hand. Xianxia snatched the jade bottle from his hand and held it in front of her eyes to carefully examine it. She said, "This is a kind of elixir that is specially used for inner force warriors to take in an emergency to increase their strength. It is jointly produced by our Thousand Despair sect and Thousand Flowers Valley. Thousand Flowers Valley is responsible for making elixirs, and our Thousand Despair sect is good at hidden weapons. This jade bottle is the work of our Thousand Despair sect. It can guarantee the effectiveness of the power pill for 10 years. So powerful?" Qin Guang's interest was piqued. Xianxia was quite embarrassed. "My sect used to be very powerful, but now we can only rely on this little gadget to make a living with Thousand Flowers Valley. Why don't you sell it to ordinary people? It's quite profitable." "For ordinary people, this is a poison that penetrates their intestines. They will die in less than 5 seconds. Fortunately, I didn't eat it." Qin Guang rejoiced. "You snatched it from the two people you were chasing?" "Yes. Xianxia thought about it and returned the bottle to Qin Guang. She looked like she wanted to say something but was hesitant. Can you be more honest? Your acting is worse than mine. I know you must have discovered something just by looking at you. Don't be like that. You're making things difficult for me. You're making things difficult for me if you don't tell me. All right. Actually, only the core disciples of our Thousand Despair sect and Thousand Flowers Valley know about this. Actually, every jade bottle we make has a special mark. I know which batch this is, and I also know who this batch of power pill was sold to. Who? But I don't want to tell you. We can't be friends anymore if you keep this up. The two of them bickered for a long time. When they returned to the city, Qin Guang did not speak to Xianxia for 3 whole hours. Xianxia finally sighed. This batch of power pill was produced about 3 years ago. It was sold in batches to a subordinate sect of Poison Sect. If everything went as expected, it ended up in the pockets of Poison Sect's disciples. Since Qin Guang had snatched the jade bottle from the two people, it was very likely that the two people had a close relationship with Poison Sect. Now that Poison Sect was powerful, it was impossible for outsiders to snatch something from Poison Sect's disciples. Qin Guang remembered the name and asked Xianxia if she knew where the Wen family was. Xianxia rejected him without hesitation. I don't know. I won't tell you even if I know. After Xianxia left, Qin Guang immediately took out his phone and called Wen. She kept her promise and did not lose contact this time. After a while the call was picked up. I'm home. You don't have to worry about me. Where are you? Wen's voice was filled with exhaustion. It was heart-wrenching. Qin Guang thought about it and told her everything that happened after she left today. You're saying that 2 more people came to spy on you? Wen was vaguely regretting her lack of consideration today. She had left in a hurry. If she had hidden a little longer she might have been able to catch the 2 people. However, she could not be blamed for that. At that time she was so confused by the strange movement in her body when Qin Guang approached her that she could not think clearly. Yes, I had a simple fight with them. What? Are you all right? Qin Guang laughed. I'm not bragging. Although I don't have inner force, they were not my match at all. I beat them up from the beginning until the end. They could not fight back at all. It's a pity that they escaped. That's impossible. Although you know some hidden weapon skills, there's no way you can fight against inner force in a head-on fight. You still don't believe me? Listen to me. Qin Guang told Wen the whole process of his fight with the 2 people in detail, especially when he punched the middle-aged man's shoulder. He felt a strange numbing and burning inner force in the meridians of his left hand, and the thunderbolt fire thrown by the middle-aged man. The most important evidence was Xianxia's judgment of the strength pill produced by the Thousand Despair sect. After listening, Wen understood in her heart, but she did not reveal it to Qin Guang. Alright, you should rest early. I have to meditate. How is it? I can help you, right? You told me to stay out of it. Qin Guang did not want to give up and asked for credit. Unexpectedly, Wen was silent for a while before she slowly said, I beg you really. Don't meddle in this anymore. I said I would give you an explanation. Don't you trust me? You staying out of it is the biggest help to me. I don't like what you said. You have to listen even if you don't like it. I'll hang up first or else I'll beat you up later. Wen said and hung up the phone with a snap. Qin Guang held the phone in a bad mood, then looked at the cup in his hand. Fine, you're a strong woman. You're great, your fists are big. When the old man achieves great martial arts, I'll make you kneel and sing conquer, to the old man, okay? Rolling his eyes, Qin Guang did not care that it was already night time. He called Qianming and took the initiative to say that he was willing to go to the Shun's special training camp tomorrow to continue the special training. Qianming was overjoyed and immediately reported the news to Old Man Tan. Old Man Tan immediately arranged for people to pick up Qin Guang and go to the Shun's special training camp the next morning. Other than that, he also selected new elites in the Yanjing military region to become the second batch of special training members for Chief Instructor Qin Guang. This was also Qin Guang's request. Qin Guang's plan was very simple. Since he was going to consume a lot of faith points to enter the middle realm of the spiritual heavenly cup, he naturally had to hurry up and increase the production of faith points. The most efficient method was naturally this special training with darts. The next morning he woke up early. The Shun Special Training Camp's car that was responsible for picking him up was already waiting in the hotel parking lot. At the same time, military elites from all over the country were selected one after another and gathered in Yanjing from all over the country. If it wasn't for Qin Guang's special identity and his freedom, Old Man Tan actually didn't want to let him leave the special training camp at all. He wanted nothing more than to lock him inside and squeeze out his usefulness to the extreme. Now that he was very enthusiastic about this matter, Old Man Tan of course fully cooperated. Chapter 563. The back seat of the car was quite spacious. It was a specially reinforced armored MPV. According to Qian Ming's bragging, the car's glass could withstand a sniper rifle. The overall structure of the car could even protect the lives of the passengers in the back under the bombardment of an RPG. It was Qin Guang's first time sitting in such a high-end car. He felt like he had become a master if he wasn't careful. There was a flaw. The car couldn't fly. It would take another 4 hours to get from here to the Shun Special Training Camp. In fact, Qin Guang wanted to say, "Since I'm your chief instructor, why didn't you send a helicopter to pick me up?" However, he wasn't that thick-skinned and kept the words in his heart. "Blackie, is there Wi-Fi in the car?" He had been using the lousy script of Women every day to pass the time. Qin Guang treated it as a novel and had almost memorized it. He could even recite the lines of the other people, let alone his own supporting role. He couldn't stand it anymore, so he turned his attention to the laptop that he hadn't used for 2 days. Blackie replied quickly, "Yes, sir. The dedicated military 4G network is 3 times faster than the ordinary civilian network. It has low latency and is more stable. Most importantly, it's free. Can we play Dota?" Qin Guang opened his backpack and took out his laptop. He was delighted. Blackie said loudly again, "Yes. We can play both. Yesterday when we were waiting for someone I played with Captain Qian. However, we played League of Legends. Both games should have similar network requirements, right?" Qian Ming, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, coughed violently. *CK, this Blackie was too much. How could he say that? "Captain Qian, is your throat not feeling well?" Blackie was confused. Qian Ming rolled his eyes. "No, my heart hurts." Blackie asked again, "Was it because you were angered by a primary school student when you lost 3 times in a row in ranked yesterday? Can we not talk about League of Legends?" If this guy wasn't driving, Qian Ming would have strangled him to death. Blackie said, "Okay, Instructor Chen, why did you think of shaving your head? Which family did you shave it from? So clean. I can't even see a single strand of hair. It's just like the tea eggs in my hometown." Qin Guang, who was trying to pull his laptop out, spat out a mouthful of blood. "Alright, Hazy, you should focus on driving. Don't talk so much." Blackie looked very wronged. He didn't know what he had said wrong. Qian Ming let out a long sigh of relief. If he allowed this guy to continue talking, he would probably spill the beans about him falling into a manure pit during his mission a few days ago. "By the way, Instructor Chen, I have something very interesting to tell you. A few days ago, when Captain Qian and I were arresting people in the eastern suburbs of Beijing, shut the *CK up. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak." Qian Ming broke down. While the two of them were having fun, Qin Guang didn't have time to deal with them. It turned out that when he pulled out the laptop, a blue-covered booklet was brought out along with the laptop. Holding the fingernail-thick booklet in his hand, Qin Guang was puzzled. What book was this? When did I buy it? Why don't I have any impression of it? Gently stroking the cover, a unique fragrance of ancient books wafted out from the booklet. There wasn't a single word on the cover. When he flipped to the first page, 3 engraved and printed Wei Bei characters before the Republic of China appeared in front of him. Although the characters seemed to be a little diffuse because of the long time, it still gave off a kind of domineering aura. Painting manual? What the hell? Although he didn't know much about the domestic market for ancient books, even if he used his toes to think, this book definitely wouldn't be cheap. Just as he was about to continue flipping, a small colored card fell out from the seam of the book. On the front of the card was a very unique and indecent photo. Next to it was written, "The passionate little sister will take you to fly if you are satisfied. Please call 13XX. Qin Guang was shocked. Could it be that the little sister who gave the card was a hidden Jianghu expert? But when he flipped to the back, he saw Wenwen's handwriting. It was personally written by her. This is the copy of my Wen family's painting manual. It is also the Wen family's strongest secret. You can take it and practice it. After you master it, we will be the eagle hero couple. Yes, I am the hero and you are the companion. Bah. Qin Guang secretly spat. Brother, I am so masculine, so I must be the hero. You are more likely to be blind. Unknowingly, the two words Qin Yu appeared in his mind again. Forget it, let's not talk about it. Since this was a small booklet given by Wen, it must be very important. I can't take it lightly. Sure enough, the night before yesterday I did that to her. Of course. Well, I was the one who did that to her. If I remember correctly, she once said that I have to be her man, which means that I have to marry her in order to practice her Wen family's internal strength. Now, without saying anything, you put the secret book in front of me. This can only mean that the rice was cooked the day before yesterday. You still lied to me that nothing happened. I don't believe you even if you tell me. When I woke up, I felt that I had lost a lot of weight. I almost got away with it because of you. Qin Guang wasn't very clear about how big the Wen family was and what kind of power it had. But from the few words that Xianxia revealed, if an ordinary person married the daughter of the Wen family, it meant that he would marry into the family. For a son-in-law who married into the family, would this kind of martial arts aristocratic family unreservedly hand over the strongest secret book that their eldest miss cultivated? This obviously wouldn't happen. But Wen just straightforwardly and neatly put her own secret book in his hands. That's right, it must be because her situation is particularly critical. She needs the most powerful gay friend to quickly grow stronger and then form the divine eagle couple that she talked about. Together they will kill until the world is turned upside down. This person, Qin Guang, will not pass on this responsibility. Qin Guang took a deep breath. Since this was a peerless divine skill that the old man exchanged for by selling his body and soul, then he must take a deep breath and adjust his state of mind. Then he must treat it seriously as if he was on a pilgrimage. He no longer joked around with Qian Ming and Haizi. Throwing the notebook to the side, Qin Guang leaned against the back seat and seriously studied it word by word. The Wen family's Danqing scroll wasn't obscure. Although it was written in the ancient style of classical Chinese, as a university student of the new era, Lord Guang, who had studied from poetry to spring snow in Qinyuan in high school, could basically understand the meaning. Rather than calling this book a secret book, it would be better to say that it was a simple instruction manual for bodybuilding methods in classical Chinese. It was merely the work of the ancients, and after a long period of improvement and practice, it had become a systematic method that could cultivate inner strength. About 3 hours later, he finally memorized this thin booklet word by word. He could already vaguely see the dense forest in front of him. They were almost at the special training camp. Qin Guang closed the book and silently stuffed it into his inner pocket, feeling vaguely melancholy. The secret book was too damn deceptive. The Danqing scroll was divided into 2 volumes. The first volume tempered the body with external skills, while the second volume stimulated inner strength. According to the Danqing scroll, the Wen family's martial arts focused on external to internal. It was naturally best to start building the foundation when one was a child. When one's body and bones had just begun to grow, that was when one was 5 or 6 years old, one would start following the tempering method recorded in the external skills volume. One would train hard every day regardless of whether it was windy or rainy. Apart from this, one also had to supplement it with various medicinal soups refined from various precious herbs. While tempering one's muscles, bones, skin, and flesh, one would persevere in soaking the medicine. When one's bodily functions were exhausted to the extreme, one's muscles, bones, skin, and flesh would also turn into sponges, absorbing the various nourishing substances in the medicine. While soaking the medicine, one would also rest. After soaking in the medicine, one would get up to take medicine. After taking the medicine, one's body would be more or less rested, so one would continue to train hard while exhausting one's stamina to temper the body and absorb the medicine. Then one would continue soaking in the medicine, repeating this process 3 times a day. It was similar to the process when Qin Guang practiced the Kiran arm, but it was more complicated. Through this continuous tempering, one's bodily functions would be trained to the extreme to expand the body's adaptability. It didn't necessarily require much strength, but the quality of the muscles, bones, skin, and flesh could reach the peak of an ordinary person through such daily hard training, until one could reach the requirements of cultivating inner strength. Perhaps each family's cultivation methods were different, The external skills used to temper the body were different, the medicines used were different, and the requirements for cultivating inner strength were also different. Qin Guang didn't have a reference. However, it was written in the painting volume that if a child was at the age of rapid growth, the body would take at least half a year to 2 years to lay the foundation of external force, which was around 6 years old or 7 or 8 years old. Basically, people with some talent would be able to reach the standard and start to stimulate their internal force. After that, they would be able to practice external force while meditating to improve their internal force. However, if the same thing were to happen to an adult, especially after the age of 18, because the body's bones had fully developed, the difficulty of improving the foundation of one's body would increase exponentially. This so-called foundation was not as simple as having a few more muscles after working out, but the evolution and perfection of the most basic cell level from the muscles, bones, skin, and flesh. What made Qin Guang depressed was that the same external skills to lay the foundation, children only needed half a year to 2 years, but adults needed at least 10 years. This meant that if he wanted to cultivate this Danqing scroll, he had to practice external skills as soon as he woke up, soak in a medicinal bath after practicing external skills, and then continue to practice external skills after soaking in the medicinal bath. He couldn't do anything else, and this cycle would take at least 10 years. He also had to take the risk of not being able to master it. After all, even among the children in the Wen family, not everyone could cultivate inner strength. The difference was only in the talent limit of the muscles, bones, skin, and flesh, which was commonly known as the root bone. Without the root bone, it would be a waste to practice. However, it was fine for a child to do nothing for 2 years, but for an adult to gamble for more than 10 years, it was a little crazy. Qin Guang suddenly felt that when Wenwen gave him this scroll, it was not like she was inviting him to be in the Legend of the Condor Heroes with her. She simply felt that he was annoying and threw a big picture in front of him, tricking him to plunge into learning inner strength, so that he wouldn't be a burden to her. Although she didn't say it clearly, this was the meaning. Calculating, Wenwen had cultivated inner strength for at least 12 years to reach her current level. If he started practicing now, he would be like the old man with extraordinary talent. After 10 years, he would be able to stimulate the inner strength, and then he would practice for another 10 years to reach the level before she broke through, which was the realm she showed in school. After 20 years, if something went wrong and she lost to someone else, the grass on her grave would be almost 3 feet high, right? He didn't know why, but when he thought of this situation, he felt completely unable to lift his spirits. He entered the Shun special training camp with a melancholy mood. The second batch of military elites that Tan Zhaohua had gathered had not yet arrived. At present, only 500 people had arrived, and the remaining 500 people would arrive one after another in the afternoon. Qin Guang was not in a hurry to go and only asked them to continue gathering. He ran to the officer's dormitory that old man Tan had deliberately arranged for him, sat down and took out his cell phone to call Wenwen. "Big sister, your painting scroll is a bit of a scam." "How is it a scam?" "This is my family's unique skill. I have now become a literary grandmaster, which is enough to override the family rules to a certain extent. That's why I have the courage to give it to you. Otherwise, if I make such a mistake, I will be skinned, stripped of my merit, and imprisoned. Then I really thank you for your great kindness. By the way, when did you cultivate inner strength?" 6.5 years. "Why?" "I only practiced outer strength for 2 months and inner strength emerged on its own. I didn't even deliberately meditate, it was very easy. Do your best, I'm optimistic about you. With my current great scholar level vision, you're definitely a martial arts prodigy that's rarely seen in 1,000 years. When have I ever lied to you? Work harder and in the future you can be like me. You don't have to worry about the medicinal herbs, I have already arranged for someone to send them to you. They will arrive in Wujing in a few days. When the time comes, you can just go and take as much as you need. But you have to be careful, once you start you can't stop." Wenwen simply said that practicing martial arts was like cabbage. Qin Guang wanted to rush in front of her and strangle her to death. Did she really think that a 3-year-old child like him was so easily fooled? Do you know what inner strength feels like? Once you master it, you will feel as light as a swallow with every movement. When inner strength is exerted, the muscles in your body will have an extra force out of thin air. Not to mention now, when I was still in school, you have never seen me use real martial arts. When you saw my strength in school, it was not even 1/10 of my true level. Don't you want to be like me, to be able to easily bend our school's iron flagpole with one palm? I remember there was a flagpole that bent before the flag-raising ceremony in my freshman year. At that time the school investigated for a long time, but they couldn't find the cause. In the end it was you? Hee, I didn't think much at that time, I just wanted to try it out. How is it? Envious, right? I'm quite envious. Qin Guang couldn't say anything against his heart. Wenwen tempted him again, so, you should start practicing now. But the painting scroll said that it takes an adult 10 years to train their muscles, bones and skin. 10 years, how can I stand it? Qin Guang rolled his eyes. Wenwen laughed. Hey. Those are all conclusions that my ancestors concluded based on ordinary people's experience, and it may not be completely correct. For a peerless genius like you it may not necessarily count. In my opinion, if it's you, at most 2 to 3 years, you can steadily stimulate inner strength. If you don't succeed by then, I will double repair it with you. Chapter 564. Bah. You didn't do dual cultivation the day before yesterday? No, I really didn't. Absolutely not. Wenwen lied with her eyes wide open. Seeing that he couldn't hear any truth from her, this good friend was obviously following the principle of not paying with his life if he didn't cheat others. She kept bragging about how awesome inner force was and how easy it was to cultivate it. She was just waiting for him to fall into her trap. Qin Guang held it in for a long time and sent out a sentence, I really don't believe you. He hung up the phone. After waiting for a while, Wenwen sent another text message, come on. I'm waiting for you. On the other side, Wenwen was holding her phone and laughing. Of course, she knew that Qin Guang had already found out that the painting scroll was a trap. However, she wasn't worried that Qin Guang wouldn't learn it. After all, she knew how much Qin Guang wanted to learn inner strength not long after the two of them got to know each other. Now that such a heaven-sent opportunity was placed before him, Wenwen knew that it was impossible for him to resist the temptation. After all, he was a humble and upright person. Although practicing martial arts was difficult, as long as there was a chance, who would be willing to let go of such a chance to become a different person? There were many legends about inner force, qigong, inner force, or other names among the people, but there were very few people who had actually seen it. Even if there were real rumors, people often scoffed at them and didn't take them seriously. They just thought that it was a swindling Jianghu swindler who used the name of a so-called master to cheat others of money, or even to cheat money and women. In recent years, the internet and even TV often exposed a certain master as a swindler, but there had never been a real person with unique skills who stood in front of the stage. Although inner force martial artists didn't completely hide from the world in the eyes of ordinary people, it was gradually becoming more and more like a fantasy. But even so, in the land of China where martial arts culture flourished, there were always people who were fascinated by the legendary inner force martial arts after reading novels that told about the heroic stories of China. If there was really a chance to learn inner force in front of ordinary people who could be calm. You're just being stubborn. I really don't believe that you don't want to try. Eldest miss, everyone in the family has been summoned back. Everyone is waiting in the conference hall. What do you think? At this moment, someone knocked on her door from the outside. A shadowy figure stood outside the door and spoke in a servant's tone. The smile on Wenwen's face disappeared in an instant. She slowly got up and grabbed the black chop that was lying on the side of the table. She walked towards the door. Don't call me miss, call me patriarch. He pushed open the door. The moment the wooden door opened, the backyard of the Wen family suddenly lit up with a snowy light. Several dozen figures dressed in the clothes of the Wen family servants jumped out from various places. These people were at least above bone strength. Among them there were 7 or 8 masters of skin strength. They waved the weapons in their hands at the same time and surrounded Wenwen from all directions. As for the servant who knocked on the door, he eerily extended a pitch-black dagger from his palm and stabbed it towards Wenwen's heart. Faced with this sudden turn of events, Wenwen's expression did not change. She only said indifferently, Uncle Zhong, you've been in the Wen family for more than 30 years. You watched me grow up. Even you betrayed the Wen family. I'm really disappointed. As she spoke, she held the black chop in her hand and held it horizontally. Uncle Zhong's dagger pierced the black chop's scabbard. Uncle Zhong snorted. You still have the face to be disappointed in me? I'm even more disappointed in you and your useless father. How prestigious was the Wen family in the past. Now it has become like this. I Zhong Dingyu am loyal to the Wen family but not to you, Wen Jingtian and your daughter. Instead of letting the Wen family rot in the hands of your stubborn father, why don't you let Jingyun manage it? In my opinion, Jingyun is smart and talented. With him managing the family, the Wen family will definitely return to its peak in less than 10 years. At the very least, it won't lose to the poison sect or the dark sect. What a joke. Those short-sighted people from the poison sect and the dark sect only have some wealth in the secular world. Have they ever produced any top-notch experts? How can they be compared to the Wen family? Since ancient times, the Wen family has always been passed down. The eldest son is the leader and this has never changed. Third uncle, you're not the eldest son and you're not of the Wen family's bloodline. How can you be in charge of the Wen family? What? Jingyun isn't of the Wen family's bloodline? Ridiculous. You're spouting nonsense. Uncle Zhong's face turned pale. Then he gritted his teeth and roared, "Die." As soon as Uncle Zhong finished speaking, the dagger on Wenwen's scabbard suddenly pushed forward. You didn't expect this, did you? Actually, I had already broken through skin force with Xingyun's help 2 years ago. Wenwen, you're underestimating your enemy. Die. A moment later he stood rooted to the ground with a flushed face. He could not move an inch forward. No matter how much force he used, the dagger seemed to be stuck to Wenwen's scabbard and could not move at all. This could only mean that Wenwen's inner force was a realm higher than his. She was able to penetrate through the black/saber's scabbard and completely stop his dagger. How is this possible? Uncle Zhong realized something. His face turned pale and he stared at Wenwen in disbelief. At that moment, the other martial artists who had surrounded them had already pounced on them when they saw that Zhong Dingyu was about to kill them. Wenwen closed her eyes slightly. When she opened them again, she was looking at these people with pity. Among them were real servants of the Wen family. There were also spies and spies from the outside. There were even some descendants of the Wen family's side branches. Although they also had the surname Wen, they were not related to Wenwen by blood. Uncle Zhong, you've been abandoned. That's right, I'm already a thought grandmaster. Third uncle has already died by my hands. I thought that you would have received the news long ago, so I wanted to give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. As long as you're willing to repent, I can pretend that nothing has happened. But from the looks of it, I can't do that. As the saying goes, a warrior cuts his wrist. Since your wrist has been cut, there's no need for me to keep you alive. Wenwen lightly shook the scabbard and sent Zhong Dingyu flying. She slowly pulled out her saber and unsheathed the black/saber, leaving no one alive. 10 minutes later, Wenwen, dressed in blood-stained clothes, stood at the entrance of the Wen family's front courtyard's conference room. She helped her father, Wen Jingtian, down from the clan leader's iron chair. In this critical time of life and death, with internal and external troubles, Wenwen officially took over the Wen family as the first Wen grandmaster in 100 years. Hundreds of miles away, Qin Guang sat in the officer's quarters in a daze. He was extremely annoyed. How many decades do people have in their lives? You want me to spend 10 years in here? How is that possible? This isn't the free time in the world in the cup. Wait. World in the cup, he slapped his forehead. Am I stupid? Old man, there's a shortcut. Tempering the body with the methods in the painting scroll is training. Isn't the world in the cup of the heavenly Holy Grail also training? The painting scroll can only make the body of an ordinary person approach the human limit. My world in the cup is aiming to surpass the limit, okay? It's obvious that my methods are deeper, more powerful and faster. Why should I care about this 10 years of tempering? Or should I stick to the original plan and mass-produce the world in the Spirit Heaven Cup and forge myself into a perfect state from head to toe, far surpassing the basic requirements of the painting scroll to stimulate inner strength? Anyway, isn't it the same? At worst, I'll just follow the methods recorded in the world in the cup to temper my muscles, bones, skin and flesh. The more he thought about it, the more he felt it made sense. The melancholy from before was thrown far away in the blink of an eye. He just minded his own business and started to fiddle with the methods described in the painting scroll. The guards outside could only hear banging sounds coming from the dormitory. They didn't know what Chief Instructor Chen was busy with. About an hour later, a faint cracking sound came from inside, followed by Chief Instructor Chen's low cries. Inside, Qin Guang was lying on the bed in a very awkward posture. He was sweating profusely, his face pale and panting heavily. Oh my god, I sprained my waist. The Qilin arm was indeed useful. At first he followed the postures recorded in the painting scroll and relied on the power of the Qilin arm to do all kinds of cool and challenging postures to speed up his progress. He completely forgot that all his skills were in the Qilin arm. The other parts of his body were only slightly above the standard of an ordinary person. He could fight, but he was still far from the human limit. He courted death so much and finally got his retribution. Now he sprained his waist on the bed and couldn't move. The pain was unbearable, but he got what he asked for. "Hey, is there anyone outside?" He couldn't move at all. He could only call for help. The 2 guards who were sent to help him were flustered. One of them put his face near the window and said, "Sir, I'm here. I sprained my waist. Call the doctor for me." About 15 minutes later, the professional doctor of Shun's special training camp arrived quickly. The 2 guards kicked the door open. The doctor exclaimed as soon as he entered the room, "Instructor Chen, what's this posture? Local specialty yoga? Can't you stop talking nonsense? Can't you see my cold sweat has soaked the quilt? There's a special training class in the afternoon. Help me straighten my bones." Crack. Ouch. Crack. So F***king painful. Crack. It hurts so much. Finally, after the experienced doctor was exhausted and sweating, Qin Guang's local specialty yoga posture saved him. "Instructor Chen, although you're young, your body has been shaped. Don't learn the awkward posture of an acrobat. You're lucky today. I treat people's injuries every day in this special training camp. I've seen all kinds of strange moves. That's why I could save you so quickly. If you were in another place, even if it's a big hospital like Concord Hospital, you wouldn't have cried for more than half a day." The doctor wiped the sweat off his forehead and said angrily. Qin Guang just giggled. "I remember. I really remember. Once bitten, twice shy." Although he was used to courting death, how could he repeat the same mistake again? Even Tan Zhaohua was alarmed by such a change. The guards came when they kicked the door open and saw everything from beginning to end. But he didn't rush to say anything. Instead, he waited for the others to leave before he pulled Qin Guang and asked mysteriously, "Xiaochen, where did you learn this move? Can you promote it?" Qin Guang stared at him. This guy is so despicable. Does he really think of himself as a little monster that can drop treasures just by hitting? "Do you really want to learn it?" "Of course. I'm old and can't learn it, but our soldiers are still young." "Then you'd better remember this. You must be careful. This was taught to me by a Taoist when I was traveling in Zhongnan Mountains a few days ago. He paid me 668 for this small book. Almost all the people outside are here. Shall we start the special dart training now?" "Bah. You have to reimburse me for the 668. I'll reimburse you for the money, but I don't want the book. I can't afford to lose face." Chapter 565. Actually, Tan Zhaohua and Qin Guang had a tacit understanding as to whether or not Qin Guang's posture had any meaning behind it. Even if fake Taoist priest was selling fake techniques to swindle money, there was no way he would write such a strange posture in a fake secret manual that normal people couldn't do. Otherwise, people would die easily, and the 668 yuan manual wouldn't even be enough to cover his expenses. However, Tan Zhaohua could tell from Qin Guang's jesting that this thing couldn't be leaked. The two seemed to be joking, but in reality they were giving each other a way out. Tan Zhaohua was also sure that Qin Guang's original suspicion of having connections with internal force was now confirmed. Qin Guang also used this to achieve another goal. From Tsing Yongtai he felt that some of the people in power looked down on and belittled him. This time he came back to increase the training quota for Shun's special training zone, not only to obtain more faith, but also to increase his importance in another aspect. He wanted Tan Zhaohua to see more of his abilities, and he had to use old Tan's mouth to let more people know that he was important. The two's tacit teasing resolved the awkwardness of one wanting to obtain the secret of internal force, and the other not wanting to spread it. Both of them had achieved what they wanted to achieve. This was the philosophy of life of Tan Zhaohua, the cunning old monster, and another old monster who had the face of a young man and the mentality of a young man, but had actually been fighting somewhere for more than 100 years. It was simple and easy to use but highly effective. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon that day, 1,000 Special Forces soldiers from the Yenjing military received a particularly profound lesson in Shun's special training camp with great anticipation and nervousness. Qin Guang did the same thing as before, and 6 more followers who had mastered the shrinking dart technique showed up. 2 hours later he gained another 2 followers, and among this group of people, there could be more followers who could produce more than 100 points of faith. Other than that, even if the others were unable to learn it, they could still produce more than 2,000 faith points in total. Today Qin Guang could be considered to have made a killing. After finishing this, Qin Guang had dinner with the particularly enthusiastic old man Tan. Originally he planned to go to the special police training area with the excuse of strengthening the training and catch up with Wu Tong. However, when he heard that Wu Tong was sent outside to participate in a secret mission that was close to the special training graduation exam, he changed his mind at the last minute. He stood the police training area up and went back to his dorm to take out his computer. After hesitating for a long time, he finally decided to call his dad. In fact, he had talked to Wenwen before and asked her if there was a need to make everyone close to him more vigilant. However, Wenwen said that it was not necessary. The reason was very simple. If the other party really wanted to attack an ordinary family, it would be useless even if they ran to the ends of the earth, and it would be impossible to guard against it. Now she was already at the level of Wenzhong. Once a martial artist reached this level, they would be at the top of the pyramid in Jianghu. Even if there were masters at the same level as her, they wouldn't dare to say that they could defeat her, who had the Wen family's verdant red scroll. Before she determined the winner between herself and the other party wouldn't dare to attack the family of an outsider like Qin Guang. Moreover, Qin Guang's identity in the secular world was special enough. He was the grandson-in-law of the Jin family. If the other party harmed his family, it would be a taboo in Jianghu, and it would also affect the tacit understanding between Jianghu and the court. Killing in Jianghu was, after all, just a small conflict within one's own. But touching the son-in-law of a powerful political family in the outside world was almost equivalent to shedding all pretense of cordiality. Although Jianghu was strong, there was still a tacit understanding between the court and the court. This was also the reason why those inner-strength martial artists had only left a mark on many big shots over 10 years ago, but hadn't really killed anyone. Qin Guang had become the grandson-in-law of the Jin family by a freak combination of factors. On another level, he had really become his protective talisman. This was something that Jin Shuiwei hadn't thought of and no one had thought of. Qin Guang only realized it when Wenwen revealed the truth and analyzed the pros and cons. He was embarrassed. He owed more and more favors and owed more and more. He stayed in the Shun special training camp for 5 days. During these 5 days he would receive a fixed group of new students from all over the country almost every day. He would receive military elites 6 times and police elites twice. Among them he had trained nearly 30 dart-throwing disciples one after another. The average daily income of the ordinary students added up was also quite a lot. He had gained quite a lot. He heard that Old Man Tan was interested in separating the nearly 40 people who had mastered the special skill of darts to form a real top special forces team. These things weren't what Qin Guang was concerned about. He was having a headache because of another sudden discovery. What a scam. Lord Luli, I always thought I had a deep understanding of how unreliable you were, but only now do I realize that I was still too naive. Why didn't you say so earlier? Why didn't you tell me such an important thing earlier? Squatting under the giant Deerming flower in the world in the cup, Qin Guang wished he could smoke a cigarette to burn off his melancholy. It turned out that just now his Dart Cup's production of faith had stopped at a very meaningful number after 5 consecutive days of skyrocketing. There were clearly more than 1,000 people below the stage who had just received his special training, and there were also 2 believers who could provide the greenish-gray halo of faith value threads, but the total production of faith value was stuck there and not moving at all. This subtle number was the daily production of 44,444. After realizing that the situation wasn't right, Qin Guang immediately entered the world in the cup after the training session ended. Luli then told him, "Congratulations on discovering a new continent." That's right, after the completion of the Spirit Celestial Cup, the production of faith was indeed limited. After that, it was the scene of Qin Guang facing Azure's roaring emperor. Luli chuckled, "Didn't I do this to give you a surprise?" Surprise but no joy. Qin Guang couldn't help but be furious. He had been complacently planning to rely on the special course of darts to reach the heavens in a single step, but this earth-shattering feat had just taken a step forward. How could he not be annoyed? "Didn't I give you a hint earlier?" When? A few days ago when you wanted to rape Fei about this, didn't I chuckle at you? That's called a hint. What else? Do you really think that you can rely on a mere spirit celestial cup to reach the heavens in a single step? Is there such a good thing? The heavenly sage grail has a total of 9 heavens, and the spirit celestial prodigy has just started. Their level is extremely low, and this world in the cup can't even be called a complete small world. The amount of faith it can hold is not much to begin with. At first I thought that 40,000 would be the limit, but now it has stopped at 44,444. Although this number isn't very auspicious, it is already outside of my expectations. I really have to congratulate you. It was rare for Lu Li to explain so patiently. Qin Guang's heart gradually calmed down. He was right. Sai, since you already knew, you should have told me earlier. Why are you trying to hide it from me? Use your mortal brain and think about it. Even someone in the 8th heaven of the Sea of Time will have 3 souls and 7 spirits incomplete. A mere spirit celestial cup's world in the first level has already shrunk to such a state, and you still want to unleash its limitless power? You already know that I am immortal. Ordinary people would be greedy and insatiable, right? You also know that you are insatiable? Furthermore, if I tell you in advance, won't I just disappoint you 2 days in advance? What difference does it make if you know now? Qin Guang glared at her. You are the one in the right, I can't argue with you. But you are the one who guided me on my glorious path of defying the heavens. You can't just watch me struggle like this, can you? You have to do something to make up for my wounded heart, right? Recently, I really want to learn inner strength, but I always feel that it is a little embarrassing to have to learn mortal martial arts while guarding such a huge treasury of yours. Why don't you teach me an unparalleled divine technique that can repel gods and demons? Don't even think about it. Didn't you see that I even lost the lustrous feather robe for you? This was my favorite divine robe in the god realm. Do you know how many existences below the god emperor realm spent hundreds of millions of years to forge this divine robe? How many gods had their divine souls shattered because of this? Furthermore, you have only cultivated the heavenly sage grail to the 2nd level and you want to learn the techniques of gods? The godly power that comes out from my spit can also cause you to explode, alright? Your robe was obviously eaten by that flower. Why are you blaming me? Don't you see that I am even more miserable? My body, hair, and skin are all given by my parents. It is a sin to lose even an inch of skin. Now, I can even accept the miserable situation of being bald. What is a mere lustrous feather robe to me? Just as the two were chatting, suddenly Qin Guang and Liu Li froze at the same time. It turned out that the faith value of the dart cup, which originally stopped at 44,444 units per day, suddenly increased a little and became 44,445 units. What's going on? Liu Li looked confused. You don't know anything again. Qin Guang pointed at Liu Li's nose. Can you be a little more responsible? You're always like this, it makes me feel that my future is bleak and bleak. At this moment, Lu Minghua, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. I just grew a fresh tender leaf. Maybe it has something to do with this? Liu Li clapped her hands. Yes, that's the logic. Little wimp, let me tell you, the limit of your Dark Cup's world was originally 40,000. But this Empress planned ahead and summoned Deer Cry ahead of time. After a series of ingenious strategizing, I let the lively little deer replace your divine statue. Now, it is precisely because of the growth attribute of her plant characteristics and the profound connection she maintains with your Dark Cup's world. As long as her strength slowly recovers and strengthens, your Dark Cup's world of the lowest level will also obtain the potential to grow along with her. How is it? Does this Empress's meticulous planning still enter your eyes? Qin Guang, Lu Ming. Qin Guang and Lu Ming simultaneously recalled Liu Li's completely dumbfounded expression when that unfortunate incident happened that day. Especially Lu Ming, who knew that Liu Li's divine soul had been integrated into the Holy Grail, was the one who suffered the most. Now she actually had the face to say that she had a meticulous planning. Even in the endless God realm, this ability to shamelessly lie with her eyes wide open was almost unparalleled. Sister Liu Li, after all these years, your divine power hasn't improved at all. However, your shamelessness has broadened my horizons. Lu Ming really couldn't hold it in. Qin Guang also covered his face and looked like he was ashamed to be associated with her. Lord Liu Li, you really don't have to flatter yourself like this. I already roughly know that you're a good for nothing. For a moment she was actually looked down upon by two people at the same time. Lily was really extremely embarrassed. She felt that she needed to do something to restore her image in Qin Guang's heart that was about to collapse. Her eyeballs rolled around and she carefully weighed it. Then, rather reluctantly, she thought about the tycoon computer that she had placed in the center of Cloud City and made a shocking decision. Are you looking down on me? She glared fiercely at Qin Guang and asked. Qin Guang shook his head. There's no such thing. This lowly one can look down on anyone but you. You're a dignified God Emperor, the greatest existence below the Master God in the Endless God Realm. Among the many God Emperors in the Endless God Realm, you're also the strongest God Emperor who ranks at the top. Whoever dares to blaspheme your dignity as your savior, I will not live under the same sky with them. I will definitely tear them to pieces. Lily really couldn't say a word for a long time. Clearly, every word that this guy said was so pleasant to listen to, but when it came to her ears, it just sounded so strange. You, Lord Lioli, you're responsible for meticulous planning. This lowly one is responsible for charging and breaking through the enemy lines. Shut up. Am I not sincere? Shut up. Don't you want to learn inner strength? This old lady will help you. Lily finally said this sentence. Qin Guang immediately sat cross-legged and meditated. Come, please enlighten me. Enlighten your face. You're just a mortal now, so don't even think about this old lady's divine power. Right now this emperor is also trapped in the Holy Grail and can't even protect myself, so how can I impart any power to you? You don't need this emperor's power imparting either. In the future you'll understand. It's just that it's not time yet. Lily slapped his head. Qin Guang was shocked. What? Could it be that the old man has a divine power? I have a question that I've been hiding in my heart for a long time. Quickly tell me, am I the reincarnation of some super expert? Was I at least a god emperor in my previous life? Lily said, I feel that I'm almost unable to communicate with you normally. From now on you better shut up. Otherwise I can't guarantee that I won't accidentally strangle you to death. Seeing that Qin Guang had finally become obedient, Lily rolled her eyes and said, Do you really think that inner strength is like cabbages in this world? This emperor will explain it to you like this. The abilities that can be trained in the middle realm of the heavenly spirit cup are basically focused on the body's functions. To put it simply, most of them are based on the body's most instinctive reactions. Even if you've mastered these skills, you still don't know how to do it. It's just like how you can play the piano but don't know how to compose a song. As for Dota, rather than saying that the realm in the middle realm of the heavenly spirit cup awakened your gaming talent, it's better to say that you have the aptitude for it. It's just that you're naturally mischievous and have never been forced to train hard. The realm in the middle realm of the heavenly spirit cup only allows you to bring out the coordination of your heart, hands, and eyes to the extreme. Playing that game relies more on yourself. However, when you reach the middle realm of the heavenly spirit cup, the skills that you can learn can be combined with a certain degree of thinking ability. For example, you can learn acting skills that you've always wanted to learn but couldn't learn, or the knowledge and skills of composing music. When you advance to the third level heavenly spirit cup, you can comprehensively improve your thinking ability. For example, the knowledge of doing business. You need to understand people's hearts and have a keen eye to understand the market. You also need to learn how to control the overall situation, know how to use people well, and even more so, you need to have the courage to make decisions and act boldly. You need to become one of the 3 types of merchants that Sister Lufei once told you about. However, inner strength involves even more profound mysteries of the human body. It's beyond the level of thinking in the body. If you want to use the Heavenly Spirit Cup's realm in the middle realm of the Heavenly Spirit Cup to practice the Wen family's painting scroll, you need to at least reach the 4th level Heavenly Spirit Cup. What the hell? The 4th level Heavenly Spirit Cup? Are you King kidding me? Alright, you don't need to say anymore. I know that this is a part of my lifetime. Right now, I don't even know when this Heavenly Spirit Cup will end. What's with the 4th level Heavenly Spirit Cup? I won't say anything else. I'll go to heaven first. After I die of old age, remember to write an epitaph on my grave. I wanted to ascend to heaven but failed, so I ascended to heaven first. I hope that I won't be cheated in my next life. Lily took a deep breath for a long time before she resisted the urge to beat him up. She gritted her teeth and said word by word, Didn't I just tell you? Help. How do I help? With my life. Don't worry about anything else for now. Just follow your original plan and train your body to perfection, then we'll talk about the next step. You actually dare to look down on me? I'll let you have a taste of what it means to be a super cool one-stop service. After Qin Guang left, Dear Cry asked in bewilderment, Sister Liuli, do we really have to work so hard? Liuli grunted, we have no choice but to do so. He's too good at tossing and turning. If we really let him go against those mortals who have mastered elementary inner strength with his current level, I'm afraid he might really fail miserably. When that time comes, I might not be able to protect him. It's better to let him become stronger first. But, no buts. Before, I indeed didn't have much confidence, but now that a wisp of my soul has integrated into the heavenly Holy Grail, I can just barely give it a try. Right, good luck. Dear Cry twisted his body and chuckled. Can you say something more auspicious? Do your best, Sister Liuli. After exiting the Cup Realm, Qin Guang originally planned to say goodbye to Old Man Tan. In the past few days, the effects of his special darts training had been getting worse and worse. There were only so many top-notch military experts in the country, and he had already trained thousands of people. The people he found later couldn't keep up with the basic training, and it wasn't easy for them to awaken as believers, so it would be a bit of a waste of time if he continued. Moreover, he was actually quite selfish. It was quite boring to do things that didn't benefit him. Must you really leave? Old Man Tan pulled Qin Guang reluctantly. Qin Guang nodded and said with a solemn expression, those of us who comprehend the Tao through darts act bravely and diligently, and the most important thing is fate. We must not stay stagnant for too long. The path of enlightenment is just like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't move forward, you'll fall behind. Last night I observed the stars and saw that Venus was flickering. This constellation is reminding me that it's time to leave. These few days of accompanying the soldiers day and night is also a blessing in my heart, but for now our fate has come to an end and there's nothing I can do about it. There will be a time in the future when we meet again. General Tan, you don't have to feel sentimental. Old Man Tan's hand that was tugging on Qin Guang's sleeve couldn't help but tremble, and he turned his face away. Damn it, what am I feeling sentimental about? This little kid has been acting like a charlatan for too long these few days and he's almost into it. If Old Man Jean finds out that I've caused his grandson-in-law to end up like this, will he come after me? No, I have to let him recover some of his humanity. Since I have a dinner meeting tonight, why don't I drag him over to meet him? The more Tan Zhaohua thought about it, the more he felt it made sense. He had seen Qin Guang's selfless contribution these days and remembered it in his heart. His impression of this generous young man who didn't ask for anything in return could be said to have improved by leaps and bounds. Old Man Tan only felt that he had done enough for this country, and it could be considered as opening a door to heaven for soldiers to practice extraordinary skills. Although what he taught was only darts, what he and the instructors in the special training camp had learned these days was his extraordinary special training philosophy. Moreover, he was the grandson-in-law of the Jean family, and now was indeed the time to take him to see the world. Presumably Old Man Jean would also be grateful to him. Tan Zhaohua thought so and he pulled Qin Guang even more tightly. You can leave if you want, but let's go to Yanjing to have a meal first. Just think of it as me sending you off, okay? Do we need to go to Yanjing just to have a meal? Qin Guang was puzzled. Tan Zhaohua rolled his eyes. Anyway, won't you have to go to the airport in the western suburbs of Yanjing to return to Wujing? It's on the way. Chapter 566. In the face of Old Man Tan's enthusiasm, Qin Guang couldn't resist. All right. General Tan, please don't pull my clothes. I'll go, all right? Even if Qin Guang was beaten to death, he would never imagine the consequences of his decision. Then again, he regretted it roughly 5 hours later. It was rare for him to be in the same bus as Tan Zhaohua. By the time they arrived in Beijing, it was already past 5 in the afternoon. When you go up later, you may see some people that you usually don't see, but you don't have to be too nervous. They have almost heard of your name and have a good impression of you. Relax and act like a young man. Do what you should do and don't be restrained. Before getting off the bus, Tan Zhaohua helped Qin Guang straighten his collar and said, Actually, I wanted you to come in a military uniform. What happened to the meal? Qin Guang felt like he had been tricked. Tan Zhaohua smiled. It's just a meal. I told you not to be nervous. Just relax. You keep telling me to relax. You're clearly hinting that there are a lot of big shots up there. Qin Guang turned around to leave. He wasn't afraid of big shots, but he was afraid of a specific person. It was Jin Shiyue's grandfather who attacked him after the concert last time. God knows if that old man was up there. Tan Zhaohua was not willing to let him go just like that. He grabbed him tightly and said, "You stinking brat, don't get me into trouble. Before I came here I told those old guys that I would bring our little hero here to let everyone know him. Now that you're gone, how am I going to explain it to them? Won't my old bones die from drinking it to death today? Listen to me. You're no longer an outsider. I know you don't like to be controlled by others, but meeting people and leaving an impression won't do you any harm, right? It'll be more convenient for you to do whatever you want in the future." "I don't think so. I'm just a commoner. This kind of national affair naturally needs talented young talents to contribute. I won't blindly meddle in it. I'll just live my own simple life." But in the end he still went up. He really couldn't bear to see Tan Zhaohua so aggrieved at his age. There was another factor that prompted him to make this decision. Tan Zhaohua originally wanted to bring him to the table of a group of old men, but seeing that he refused in every way, he told him the truth. Other than the main hall where the old people gathered, there was also a side hall where the young people sat. "When we get there later, if you really don't want to sit with us old men, I'll arrange a seat for you at the young people's table in the side hall. You can come over to say hello and walk around. I heard that old Master Jin hasn't been feeling well for the past 2 days, so I don't think he'll really come." Tan Zhaohua reassured Qin Guang and he accepted it with a smile. Under the guidance of the guards, the group passed through the garden-like house and went straight inside. Qin Guang was also speechless on the way. With the land price in Yanjing, one could enjoy such a large garden-like hotel? This was very domineering and classy. Yanjing in August was still a bit hot during the day, but at this time of night, the forest path revealed a cool and elegant atmosphere. A few large lotus leaves grew in the roadside pond, and under the reflection of the moonlight, a few thick and colorful shadows were sprinkled on the water surface. It was unknown whether it was the sound of frogs or toads coming from the side of the pond. It wasn't noisy but had a different kind of charm. Under such a quiet and charming scenery, Qin Guang keenly discovered the guards in camouflage in the shadows of a few small trees. The seemingly loose but actually strict security here revealed the tip of the iceberg in front of him. As if sensing the change in Qin Guang's temperament, Tan Zhaohua, who was walking next to him, said quite casually, "2 more steps and we'll be there." He pointed to the orange-tiled roof that vaguely peeked through the gaps in the bushes in front of them. "It's rare for the old men to gather together today, so the security work is more serious than usual. Don't mind it. When we arrive, I'll ask the guards to take you to the youth hall. When it's about time, I'll come and call you or we'll come and say hello. Don't run away in the middle of eating, remember." As the two approached, a group of old men were quietly hiding behind the wooden lattice window and peeking at the intersection. It looked quite funny. "What are you looking at? Look at how disrespectful you all are. Don't you feel embarrassed if outsiders see you?" An old man was blowing his beard and glaring at the group of people who were leaning against the window. "Ha, old Jean, you also have a day where you feel embarrassed? So what if everyone wants to see your grandson-in-law? I think this young man is not bad. He's presentable and not embarrassing." Jiang Yage's grandfather teased. "I'm too lazy to talk to you. I just feel that Xiao Tan shouldn't have pulled him over today. My Jin family doesn't have that many rules. Young people are responsible for their own affairs. It's too early to rush to meet him." Who knew that a certain someone rushed out from home to rush to his granddaughter's celebration party a few days ago and caught a cold. Today he ran over with a runny nose and a gluttonous appetite? What are you after? Old Jiang, do you really have to ruin my show? Both of you stop talking. Today I asked Xiao Tan to call Qin Guang over because he's helped us a lot in Shun these days. There are too many people here, so don't let him come over later. Old Jiang, take 2 people to the youth hall and have a drink with him. Say hello and ask the other young people to help out. That's enough. Jiang Yage's grandfather was unhappy. Why? I shouldn't overstep my authority to drink with him. It should be old Jean, right? Right. Isn't that right, everyone? The other old men followed suit and ridiculed old Master Jean. That's right. Old Jean, it's rare for you and your granddaughter to gather in the same courtyard. You have to go and say hello. Otherwise he might think that you have something against him. Be careful that your granddaughter doesn't like you. Old Master Jean was egged on by everyone. He was quite tempted too. Alright. I'll go. What's there to be afraid of? I'm not like you guys who like to order the younger generation around. What's the big deal about drinking? He won't be scared if he gets to know me. Alright, then it's settled. We'll go together later, old Jiang said cheerfully. Jiang Yage's grandfather didn't know that the one who should be giving a toast wasn't old Master Jean, but himself. Otherwise, how could he be so smug? Let me tell you guys. That brother of mine is the almighty superhuman Chen Guang on the internet. He's also Jin Shiyue's boyfriend. You guys know him, right? Yes. How could I not know? He's so famous. Hey, you don't say. He's really amazing. At that time the two pianists were injured. All of us thought that we were done for and that the concert couldn't go on. There were two pianos there but no one was playing them. There were many pianists accompanying the songs later on. What should we do about the concert? What do you guys think we should do? Lin Jingwei sat at the big round table in the youth hall. He was beaming with joy and looked like a storyteller. The others were also interested in what he said. They were all familiar with each other. Naturally, there were people who supported Lin Jingwei. Brother Jingwei, just say it. Don't leave us hanging halfway. That's right. Brother Jingwei, why are you like the storyteller in the tavern in the TV dramas? Lin Jingwei lightly slapped the table. At that time my brother Guang stood up and said, I'll do it. A high school girl with braided hair covered her mouth and laughed. Brother Jingwei, look at what you're saying. I thought Uncle Guping said, I'll do it. Don't tell me that your brother Guang is Baldi Wuku? Lin Jingwei stared. What are you saying? Although brother Guang's name has the word light in it, his hair is as lush as the small forest behind the South Sea Court. Let's not talk about his hair. At that time we all knew that he could play the piano. Very good, the problem of one piano was solved. But there were two pianos on the stage. They needed two pianos to accompany them. One person was not enough. In the end he still said, I'll do it. And then this guy exploded. He actually played two pianos by himself. He really played them off the stage. Look, I was below the stage at that time and recorded the whole thing. What do you think? Awesome, right? Lin Jingwei took out his phone and sent it to these people one by one. His father had said not to stay at home all day. If word got out, people would gossip and say that old Lin's son was a good-for-nothing. It was fine if he didn't join the military or politics, but if he became a shut-in after studying, it would be a disgrace to the Lin family. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. Although he didn't like this scene since he was dragged here today, he had to put on a good show. He had to become the center of the conversation at the table. He showed the video of Qin Guang to these people. Actually, it could be considered as laying a foundation for Qin Guang's future. With his face and introduction, everyone present also knew that this Qin Guang and I, Lin Jingwei, have a close relationship. Let's put our relationship aside for now. Who knows when we might be able to help each other in the future. We still have a long life ahead of us. It had to be said that in this aspect, although Lin Jingwei always treated Qin Guang as his boss in the dormitory, he was actually more stable and steady. Everyone watched the video. Actually, some of them had watched the live broadcast of the concert at home and knew that the prince consort of the Jin family was in the limelight that day. However, they still cooperated and put on a look of amazement. The girl who said that Qin Guang was bald, Wu Ku, teased. This brother Guang's hair is really lush. He's quite handsome. Oh right, didn't brother Bai say he was coming? Why isn't he here yet? Another person asked Lin Jingwei. Lin Jingwei shook his head. Just now he said he still had a meeting at the company. I don't know when he'll be done. Brother Bai isn't as free as we are now. He's the vice president of Tianjin Group. In his heart he was thinking that it was good that he wasn't coming. Recently he had been pestering him to the point of breaking down. That good brother of his was obsessed with Qin Yu. Chapter 567. By the way, Secretary Chu just placed an extra chair, bowls and chopsticks here. Who is it? I didn't hear anyone come back. A young man who was sitting next to Lin Jingwei said unhappily. He was originally sitting next to Lin Jingwei, but because of the extra chair his seat was forcibly moved to the side. The empty seat on Lin Jingwei's right, which was the seat in the middle of the large round table facing the screen, was reserved for Bai Hua. The old people had their own ways of doing things and the youngsters also had their own ways of doing things. In China's dining culture, the arrangement of the chairs and seats was quite unique. These youngsters who were born in rich families understood the meaning of it since they were young. Lin Jingwei shook his head in confusion. I'm not sure. At this moment, the door of the youth hall was pushed open. A familiar voice came from outside the door Lin Jingwei was familiar with. You're here, right? Yes, Instructor Chen. Please come with me. Your seat has been arranged for you. As Secretary Chu spoke, he ushered the person in from the outside. A shiny bald head was the first to enter the youth hall. They felt that the entire room had brightened up with this person's entrance. Lin Jingwei's eyes widened. Oh my god, Brother Guang, why are you here? Your hairstyle is a bit too domineering. He silently turned his face away, trying hard not to laugh out loud. Damn it, he was just blowing on his beautiful hair. You really know how to make things difficult for me. When did you become Wuku? Can't you at least give me a greeting? The high school girl from before was the first to break down. She was obviously a veteran of 2D video sites. She was quite quick-witted and had a rather carefree personality. She slammed the table repeatedly. Wuku. It's really Wuku. Qin Guang turned his head and glanced at the girl before he awkwardly followed Secretary Chu to sit beside Lin Jingwei. At the same time, he was feeling unhappy in his heart. This girl wasn't giving him any face at all. Even if my hairstyle is really that ferocious, is there a need for you to slap the table and call me Wuku? Do you think I don't understand that joke? I'm also an old hand, okay? These rich second generations are more unruly and difficult to get along with than I thought. Sure enough, not every second and third generation is as mature and sensible as Lin Jingwei and Bai Hua. No, Bai Hua is poisonous. Lin Jingwei saw that Qin Guang's expression was not very happy. He also realized that this joke might not have come at the right time. Brother Guang, don't misunderstand. I was just bragging to everyone that you said, I'll do it, before you went to play the piano at the concert. Didn't people think of Wuku because of that? You also have the word, light, in your name. I'm really not targeting you. The little girl also laughed. She held her stomach and explained to Qin Guang. Qin Guang saw that she looked quite obedient, so he did not hold it against her. Seeing that he had acquaintances here, Secretary Chu, who originally wanted to help introduce him, tactfully retreated. With Lin Jingwei bringing Qin Guang into the circle, there was nothing for him to do as a secretary. With Lin Jingwei's introduction, Qin Guang greeted these second and third generation people one by one. As for the polite words like, take care of each other for the first time, he did not take it to heart. Everything else was good, but Qin Guang felt that the young man on his left was a little strange. He said something like, the matter between Sister Shuiwei and Brother Qin Guang has become a legend in our circle. A gifted scholar with a beautiful woman is really a perfect match. Now that Sister Shuiwei is not big or small in our country, she's almost on the same level as the Heavenly Empress. How does Brother Qin Guang plan to cooperate with Sister Shuiwei in the future? Although he said gifted scholar with a beautiful woman, he was secretly mocking Qin Guang for relying on Jin Shuiwei to rise to the top. Qin Guang ignored him and turned to ask Lin Jingwei, what's your relationship with this young man? This person was stunned. He did not expect Qin Guang to not play by the rules. He was the same as Bai Hua. He was also a child who grew up watching Jin Shuiwei grow up like a porcelain doll. He also had some feelings for her, so he had investigated quite a bit about Qin Guang. Today he was already unhappy that Qin Guang had stolen his seat. Now it was as if there was a fish bone stuck in his throat. He planned to use this as an excuse to embarrass Qin Guang a little, to vent the hatred in his heart that his goddess and his seat had been stolen. But Qin Guang's reaction was completely out of his expectations. He could not help but look at Lin Jingwei with some worry. Lin Jingwei first glanced at the young man, then curled his lips indifferently, just to. Qin Guang was delighted. Since this person wasn't Lin Zi's friend, then there's no need for him to give face. He turned around and smiled at the young man before casually spitting out, what does it have to do with you? He had come here today not because he was Jin Shiyue's boyfriend, but because old Tan had invited him as a guest. Why would he be bullied by a bunch of kids? I'm sorry, but I can't do that. The young man was shocked by Qin Guang's four-syllable mantra, but Lin Jingwei's cold gaze from time to time gave him goosebumps. He did not dare to flare up and only smiled awkwardly. Brother Qin Guang, you really know how to joke. Qin Guang did not want to make the atmosphere too tense, so he casually laughed it off. It's all right, it's all right. After this brief interlude, the main table in the private room next door began to move their chopsticks. Naturally, the youth lounge followed suit. Initially, Qin Guang was worried that his meal would be too boring. Fortunately, Lin Jingwei was right next to him. The two of them chatted as if there was no one else around, so he did not feel embarrassed. It was just that Lin Jingwei's words were not very pleasant to listen to. Seriously, Brother Guang, are you going to do something big? Lin Jingwei asked as he picked up the monkey head mushroom with his chopsticks. Why do you suddenly ask? Qin Guang felt that the game in front of him was not bad, so he continued to eat it. The ancients always said that by cutting it, one's ambition will be discovered. You cut it so cleanly, aren't you a little too ambitious? Where did you go to cut it? It's too clean. Even the stubble on your scalp is gone. My goodness, I feel that when school starts, we won't need to turn on the lights in our dormitory at night. As Lin Jingwei spoke, he could not help but secretly raise his hand and touch the top of Qin Guang's head. Then with an intoxicated look on his face he said, "Oh my God, it feels so good to touch it. I can't control my hand at all. If you touch it again I'll break all 5 of your fingers, damn it." Lily had touched his head when he first became bald, and now little Lin was touching it again. He estimated that he would have to receive many distinguished guests with his bald head, so he might as well expand his business. Touching for 10 yuan, he could make a fortune with this bald head alone. Don't do it. You won't lose a piece of flesh from touching it. Be more generous. Lin Jingwei really could not control his hand. Qin Guang was annoyed by his touch, so he grabbed his disobedient, lecherous hand and smacked it twice on the back of his hand with his silver chopsticks, making little Lin grit his teeth in pain. The others at the table were stunned. Why was Brother Jingwei so easy to talk to today? Lin Jingwei did not feel embarrassed at all. He still stared at Qin Guang's head covetously, but seeing that Qin Guang was on guard, he did not dare to make another move in the end. Lin Jingwei knew that he could no longer pretend to be a pig with a spring onion stuck in his nose on the table today, but he did not care. It was not a problem for him to put on airs in front of others at the table, but he really could not pretend to be a college roommate for 3 years in front of Qin Guang. Of course, if he did not want to make a move on Qin Guang, but if he quietly said hello to Qin Guang and let Qin Guang flatter him today, it would not be a problem for him to sit on the throne of the most mature and stable second generation in the youth hall today. Alright, don't embarrass yourself in public. Even if you don't find it embarrassing, I would feel embarrassed. Qin Guang quietly glared at Lin Jingwei. He was an old monster himself, so he could still understand the ways of the world on the table. He did not care, but he could not embarrass Lin Jingwei. Lin Jingwei chuckled. Okay. Then he quietly took out his phone and took a picture of Qin Guang from behind, then sent it to the class group chat. Damn it, this guy is hopeless. Qin Guang rolled his eyes and really did not want to talk to him anymore. He reached his chopsticks into the soup bowl in the middle of the turntable and picked up a large piece of Longjing bamboo fungus. He had loved eating bamboo fungus since he was a child, but in the past year his family was so poor that he could not eat it even if he wanted to. What was placed on the table must be the work of a great chef, so it would be a shame not to take the opportunity to eat it. He was just a little strange. From the time everyone started eating until now, it seemed that no one else had touched the bamboo fungus in the soup bowl. Perhaps these second and third generations were used to eating delicacies and did not take it seriously. When everyone saw his action, they were stunned at first, then they watched him take a large piece of bamboo fungus from the bowl and put it in his bowl to eat. As soon as the bamboo fungus entered his mouth, those who knew immediately knew whether it was good or not. The fresh and sweet fragrance of top-grade Longjing tea wrapped around the crispy and refreshing bamboo fungus. When he gently chewed it, a different kind of sweet and rich fragrance assailed his nose, from the tongue all the way to the back of his throat. Qin Guang slightly narrowed his eyes and thought to himself, this taste of bamboo fungus seems to be the best quality of Zhijin. The last time he had eaten Zhijin bamboo fungus, it was when his family was not short of money that his father specially went to his old comrade's place to buy it. It was said that it was specially provided and the people in the place of origin could not eat it. When he finished eating this large piece of bamboo fungus, he did not think too much about it. Just as he was about to continue eating, the guy sitting on his left coughed lightly. He really did not know what to say. When Qin Guang saw everyone looking at him eagerly, he turned to ask Lin Jingwei, "This? Is there anything special about this pot of soup? Lin Jingwei rolled his eyes and laughed. It's nothing. It's placed on the table for everyone to eat. Eat. As he said that, he also picked up a small piece of Longjing bamboo fungus with his chopsticks and put it in his bowl. In his heart he was saying, Brother Xiaobai, I'm sorry. I originally wanted to leave some for you, but Brother Guang did not know about it. He picked up more than half of it for you. Let's just forget about it later. When the others saw this, they knew that Lin Jingwei was saving the situation. Although they were quite nervous, they each picked up a small piece of bamboo fungus. Before they even walked around, the pot of Longjing bamboo fungus had been cleared. Finally, the high school girl from before said nervously, Brother Xiaobai spent a lot of effort to get this bamboo fungus. He loves it the most. He didn't even say that he won't be coming tonight and we've already finished it. Wait a while. Cough, cough, cough. Lin Jingwei's throat felt uncomfortable again. Eat your food. Why are you so troublesome? Brother Xiaobai? Qin Guang was also afraid. Bai Hua is coming? He left some food for him. Lin Jingwei had no choice but to nod. He should be coming. But let's just eat it. It doesn't matter. When everyone saw this, they thought that this Qin Guang was really fearless, but it turned out that he was afraid of Brother Xiaobai. They did not guess wrong. Qin Guang was indeed afraid of Bai Hua, afraid that he would fall in love with him. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.